cases to serial killers, missing persons, and more.
100% he did this.
I'd go off in the fantasy world.
How much more lucky can you get that you're not on death row?
You want to know what we know.
My name is Jay. This is Guilty of Crime.
What is up, everybody? Can y'all hear me? Hello, crime crew. Hello, Cheech. I'll say hi to a few of y'all. Thank you for being here. I feel like I'm officially off the battlefield today. KKRR, how's it going? What's up? Coach Complete, we've missed you. I love when you come on here. You make me laugh. We're off the battlefield today. We are doing a DD, Deception Detective collaboration. Adam, yo, driving but listening. That's a perfect time to listen. What the what? Yes, hey. What's up? Courtney Dawn. Hey, everyone, just in time. Just left the lake. That sounds amazing. What's up, Cheech? All the mods. Carly. Crystal. Hello, Jay. Guilty of Crime. Mary Ulmer, evening. I'm going to say Giselle, CD, Sherry Colum, Sherry Mathis, hello, Nuala, Jur 13, Day One Crime Crew, Ziggy 19 from the UK. What is up today, people? Today's a good day. We're off the battlefield. Today is just going to be a chill day. We're going to have fun. Even though we're talking to Chris Watts, it's going to be a lot more chill, less political, less everything. So hit that like button on your way in. We're climbing up to 15,000. We're right under I think we're at I think we hit the let me see, did we hit that 13.9 yet? We're like right under the 13.9. So hang in there, folks. We're gonna we just hit the 13.9. So we're climbing up to 15. And then the 15 is going to go to 20, and then you know what's up from there. So today we're talking about Chris Watts. We're going to do the collaboration with Deception Detective. I have big things happening, folks. What's up, Brenda Pavey? So I was here a little late today. We're going to do the Wade Wilson case tomorrow, and I have somebody that's local that is friends with Mila. If you know, you know. Mila's one of the people that testified. She knows Wade Wilson's ex-girlfriend and a bunch of other things. I have something special for Bree. If Bree Mitchell is listening, hello, Bree. I texted you earlier. I'm hoping to try to get the doctor on, the medical examiner for Corey Mitchell. I did talk to him today. Thank you to Jess, my researcher, who's not the mama on here. And back to Watts Island. You know it. I love Watts the Obsession. Kelly, she's great. So, yeah, as the community grows, hit that like button. I don't like being on the battlefield all the time. And yesterday I was on the battlefield. Lots of good things happened and lots of bad things happened at the same time. It was a pretty crazy day, and I've had a crazy day today, but it's still a good day. When we wake up, it's a good day, folks. So, we're going to start with Deception Detective and his analyzing Watts the Obsession. And then I have an interview I bet you haven't seen before. I didn't see it before. It's Mr. Mama's boy, Chris Watts' mom. It's like raw news station footage of what she thinks happened. It's pretty insane because I showed you the interviews a while back. Let's look here. I'm sharing this page. It's Mr. Deception Detective, what a psychopath looks like. Now, I was hoping to get either sadistic or psychopath still. Coach Complete, if you talk to Mr. Deception Detective, we still want to get what a sadist looks like with Christopher Greger. But today we're doing what a psychopath looks like. We're going to talk about Chris Watts, have some fun in chat. I want you to know, to the people that won the books, I mailed out all of your books today. So it's just a chill day. I'm not on the battlefield. There's
everybody
nobody
flirt at work, of course.
There's nobody coming at me crazy, no political stuff. It's It's going to be a nice day today, and I can talk to you all, and we can have some fun. So hit the like button. Let's look at Nicole Kessinger, the woman of the year, folks. That's what happens. I can spam him and tell him that he owes me he doesn't owe me. He said he would gift me the deception deck with on iOS. So I'm missing cards in my deception deck. Spotting a subtle lie. I'm missing a couple of cards, and my deception deck is on hand at all times. That is the Deception Detective card deck. It's got 52 decks, 52 cards. Reticence is my favorite card here. And I'm missing the new deck, folks. So spam him, get me that new iOS app, and let's not be like Nicole Kessinger, because you always, for the rest of your life, have to run and hide like Casey Anthony. She's hiding now, but she's back out there. So let's let's spot a psychopath with Kelly from Watts the Obsession. It's new audio. What's up, little pups? It's new audio. The dog wants to be in. All right, we're gonna hit play and then I'll pause myself. Hold on, come here. It's the little guys, the little baby. All right, let's play this real quick and then I'll grab the pup. If the dog doesn't interrupt me again, it's Watts the Obsession. New audio and video. She enhanced it. So really great. All right, the baby's calling.
Of course not. Do they know that? Of course they do. But they're making Chris feel comfortable enough to open up and take ownership of his role in the affair and its fallout. And he's resisting doing it. And the next time I pause, I'm going to point out what I think that means as far as our analysis of him as a psychopath, or as a bumbling innocent victim fall guy, or as a third topic, something different than a psycho or a fall guy. Is Chris Watts a psychopathic killer, a manipulated fall guy, or something else? I'm Deception Detective, an attorney trained in statement analysis. This channel exposes lies and manipulation. Today, we're going to analyze a rare Chris Watts interview to determine if he is a psychopathic killer, a manipulated fall guy, or something else.
And it is a rare footage of it because it was cleaned up audio and video by Kelly from Watts the Obsession. She is great. I've gone on her panel a few times. She's a friend. She's what I'd call a friend. She's always thoughtful. Her channel streams are always just so much information. It blows my mind. So yes, Watts the Obsession, Deception Detective. I like my YouTube friends. I like the no drama about this portion of YouTube. So let's go. I think this is going to come up soon, and he's probably going to do another video. Once he hits that 50,000 likes, he's on and popping. Deception Detective.
Entirely. If you've seen my Nicole Kessinger playlist, my conclusion might surprise you. And for reference, this interview is from 2019 and was uploaded with newly cleaned up audio by a friend of the channel, Watts the Obsession. Her link is in the description.
Kelly.
And if you want to help decide who we analyze next on the channel, let's get this video to 50,000 views, which is why I'm continuing this series. Or you can become a channel member and decide who we cover next in one of my channel member community polls. Without further ado, let's listen. Since the point of this analysis is how to spot a psychopath, we're going to start at the part of this interview where Chris is talking about Nicole, because I've already analyzed Nicole. Now I want to analyze Chris, and we can determine if he is a manipulator and psychopath.
And if you take a look at this, we're gonna see if you think he's a psychopath. I think he's a psychopath. I think Deception Detective is going to think so. I'm sure he is clinically going to be defined as a psychopath. Look at all of this footage here that's been cleaned up. So we have plenty of Watts Wednesdays to go over, thanks to Watts the Obsession. Lots and lots.
Himself, or if he was the victim of Nicole Kessinger, who manipulated him to kill his family to be with her and then take the fall for her, as some people speculate in my comments. So Watts the Obsession has conveniently put timestamps here, and we're going to jump to timestamp 1510, where she's labeled Mistress Nicole Kessinger, when, how we met. We're going to listen from there.
This is a really good one, folks, and I'm going to tell you before we get started when and how they met. A lot of you know that they met at work, and when they met at work, it started off with a friendly email, and conveniently, Nicole Kessinger saw that Chris Watts was married because, well, he didn't have a ring. She didn't see it, but he told her, and conveniently they started chatting. Never fall for that. Never start doing work emails, folks, or you might become a Nicole Kessinger. What's up, Rita from Belgium? Teresa, Chris Watts, what a monster. He is a monster. We're going to continue covering Chad Doerman, his trials coming up. Another family annihilator, I would call him.
No,
Right.
there may have
When
been
and where?
others. So Nicole was the only one. I was the only one. Was there ever like a one night stand with someone else just out of the blue and one and done? Oh, okay. All right.
Nope. He says,
Um,
what's up,
But
Emily?
talk a little bit more about Nicole. Right. And so walk me through it, because that was one of the things we never really got to ask you about.
Right. We didn't talk.
And, talking about where the girls were, but so what happened there?
So it was probably around June 1st or something. That's when I first met her. And it was just like a work conversation. She messed with the gas meters that, we're out in the field. And I'm out messing up. And then, I took it to her like, hey, what's going on with this? Like, how do I fix it? After that, we just ran into each other a few times in the office. And I think it was probably the fourth time meeting. She had asked me, because like when we were talking back and forth, I would say, like we moved here from Colorado or from North Carolina and stuff like that. And then she was like, what's all this weed stuff? I'm like, God, took out my phone, showed her a picture. Like, my girl's on the phone. It's like, oh, okay. Like, so, like, yeah, like, I didn't wear a ring at work because like I said, off so I get refitted after I lost all that weight. So, but
You lost so much weight that your fingers lost weight.
and it was literally like I was out in the snow one time. I went like that. Ring went off on the rocks. So,
Ever since I started analyzing Nicole Kessinger 4 months ago, I've seen lots of comments of people suggesting that Chris was either pushed to commit the murders by Nicole manipulating him, or even by Shannan's needling and belittling him. And over in the DD forum, someone actually mentioned a lot of theories about this to me, which I addressed over there in the forum.
Which is interesting because, well, first of all, we hit 111. That's an angel number. Let's say a prayer for the Watts family that is no longer with us. Cece, Bella, Nico, and Shannan. And by no means will I ever blame Shannan Watts for being the kind of wife that she was to run a family of going to be 5. It's very hard. And a lot of times when you're running a family, boy, do I know, because I'm the family, I'm the head of the family, you get snappy, you get bitchy, you get grumpy, and you have to control the situation. So by no means would I ever, just because her life was on camera, folks, and we saw a lot of things that, things that she did, those are the things that we do behind the scenes too, folks. All right. So I don't victim blame on my channel, and it's okay to have an opinion, but let's not ever talk about, he victim blames like crazy. And so does Watts. Watts the Obsession does bring in the theory of Shannan Watts, and a lot of people on that channel from Watts the Obsession talk about Shannan Watts and how she ran things. I'm not. All opinions are welcome. And I've been on Watts the Obsession when they do that. And my opinion is nothing. I say nothing. I just listen.
And my main question was, where do these theories come from? Because as far as I'm concerned, Chris Watts committed these murders alone, and any manipulation or needling of him was done without the expectation that he would go all out and murder his entire family. All that is to say, I think that Chris originated all these theories about how other people might have contributed to the murders, because he's clearly skilled at blame shifting. For instance, he's been minimizing his courtship of Nicole with the word just. I just did this, I just did that, and so on. And manipulators often use minimizing adverbs like just and merely to downplay incriminating context. This is so common of manipulators, it's even a card in my deception deck, my 52 favorite rules for spotting lies and manipulation. So does Chris's manipulativeness mean that he's a psychopath? Not necessarily. We need to keep listening before we draw any conclusions about how we should approach him and whether or not we should approach our analysis of him as a psychopath. For now, when I hit play, just pay attention to how he minimizes his own responsibility for the affair with his word choice, where he's constantly painting himself as a aw shucks victim of Nicole's relentless advances.
From North Carolina.
Before we get started too, like I said, the background of this, I have the emails from another channel from 5 years ago, and it was analyzed. The emails started off very work friendly, and he actually starts to flirt with her Chris Watts actually starts to tell her, like, hey, I think you're good looking, or something like that. I don't have it in front of me, but he says that to her. And then Nicole Kessinger says to him, I'd like a family someday, but since you're married with kids, I'd like to keep it just coworkers. So I'd like to bring that up at some point on a Watts Wednesday, that this and him saying Nicole Kessinger did this, he actually started flirting to the extent they both did, and then decided to back off and then did it anyway. Now, I like the spotty and subtle lies because both Nicole Kessinger and Chris Watts do that quite a bit. The best liar is he who makes the smallest amount of lying go the longest way. Samuel Butler. When analyzing statements for deception, even the smallest signs is a crucial. Skilled liars often distort the truth rather than lying outright, using tactics like omissions and nuanced information. To detect these, you go with assumption, avoid drawing conclusions based on vague language. Interference. Be careful not to interfere meanings with what's unsaid. So don't read between the lines. Just listen to what people are saying. Errors. Don't disregard incorrect grammar as it could be deliberate play. And diction. Pay attention to unusual word choices, including overly specific or repetitive terms. Acknowledging these nuances is vital in unveiling the hidden truth in statements that appear to be honest on the surface. All right, let's pay attention. Yes, full of bullshit. Whoever that's for, I agree. All right, let's go. Listen close. This is good audio, cleaned up.
And stuff like that. And then she's like, "What's all this weed stuff?" You come like, "God," took out my phone, showed her a picture, like, my girl's on the phone. It's like, "Oh, okay." Like, so, like, yeah, like, I didn't wear a ring at work.
Right.
It's like I said, off so I get refitted when I lost all that weight. So, but
You lost so much weight that your fingers lost weight.
and it was literally like I was out in the snow one time. I went like that, ring went off on the rocks. So I was panicking trying to find out like I can't Chris anymore. But so after that, she left me alone for a couple days. And she texted me outside the field. And then after that, we just kept texting back and forth. And it was just, just like she used to work in a little rig out in.
Right, so he has an excuse for everything. He showed her the photo of his family. The ball was in her court to do something wrong. He had an excuse for not wearing his wedding ring. She left him alone for a couple days.
No, it was him.
And we just kind of trading stories back and forth about what we did and everything. And then one day
I
it
have
just kind of
those.
went to a different level. And then I never thought it would ever go to that level. But
You hit on her, bro.
We got back from San Diego. San Diego from the 22nd to the 26th of June. And we met up after we got back. And
how did you guys meet up?
At a park in Thornton. Thornton somewhere. And after that, we just kept seeing each other pretty much the whole month of July.
So let me see this. You tell me if I'm wrong.
Now, Davey, a shrewd temptress can initiate things and try to make guys think he took the initiative. I actually have the emails that they wrote back and forth, and he actually said something like, "You're cute" or "good looking" or something to open that door. Now, I do think when she said, "Oh, I think it's best that we're friends," she was opening the door back to see that he was even like trying to go there and flirt with her. I don't think that she was a shrewd temptress until they started banging. And then after they started banging, then she was puppeteering, and then his ways came in and so forth. But yeah, can't be tempted if you know better. Okay. I'm telling you right now, Davey, I get hit on quite a bit. Yeah, I was a tattoo artist. I've been a tattoo artist for 25 years, and now I'm doing the YouTube thing. Girls will do that. You know what I say? No, I'm married, and I have a ring to prove it. So, okay, if you don't want to do something, you say no. I've been saying no for 19 years. Well, I didn't say no before I got married, people. So if I'm ever single again, just saying, that's a whole different story.
You strike me as somewhat of a shy person. So when you guys were meeting, it was just kind of very initiatory, like flirting at first. Okay, from both sides.
Yeah, it was just kind of like feeling each other out. It's kind of like I don't.
Filling each other out.
And so, texts and calls.
More near the end of June.
Okay.
Absolutely.
And what makes you remember that it's June that happened?
Because we called each other before I left to go to San Diego.
Oh, okay. Right. At first, did you think something might happen?
I just thought it was
Shy
just
boy, right?
flirting. I didn't think it was actually like something that would actually happen.
Well, it's totally natural, right? I mean, everyone kind of flirts at work, right?
No,
The
they
relationship between men
not.
and women is different. So if you're working with a girl at work, it's just kind of natural where
I wish I
Oh, that was the wrong one. Listen, folks, that got me all worked up. It's not natural to flirt at work. It's okay to like. All right, hold on. I do. This is the last. That's the last thing I want to do is play anything Soto right now. Okay, so listen, I'm gonna go back to it. I messed up. He has a play button, Deception Detective, and I clicked on his back button instead of the actual button. All right. It's not natural to flirt at work. It's okay to be friendly and like joke around and say stupid stuff to each other. But flirting at work is opening the door for an affair. So if you don't already know that, or let's say you're naive and you just got married, you're like in your 20s or something, and you have no idea. It's better not to flirt at work, folks, because it's going to lead to an affair. And if it leads to an affair, it ruins lots of lives. All right.
Or-
I know.
I would say, like
I've seen it happen. Just trust me on that. And what's up, Petty Mason? I agree. Yeah, work is work. It's okay to flirt at work if you're single, y'all. Flirt at work, go for it. But if you're married and you have a baby on the way and 2 kids and a wife and a life, don't flirt at work.
we moved here from Colorado or from North Carolina and stuff like that. And then she's like, "What's all this weed stuff you come?" Like, I took out my phone and showed her a picture. Like, my girl's on the phone. It's like, "Oh, okay." Like, see, like, yeah, like, I didn't wear a ring at work because like I said, also get refitted when I lost all that weight. So, but
you lost so much weight that your fingers lost weight.
and it was literally like I was out in the snow one time. I went like that. Ring.
Go a little bit forward.
The word just. I just did this, I just did that, and so on. And manipulators often use minimizing adverbs like just and merely to downplay incriminating context. This is so common of manipulators, it's even a card in my deception deck, my 52 favorite rules for spotting lies and manipulation. So does Chris's manipulativeness mean that he's a psychopath? Not necessarily. We need to keep listening before we draw any conclusions about how we should approach him and whether or not we should approach our analysis of him as a psychopath. For now, when I hit play, just pay attention to how he minimizes his own responsibility for the affair with his word choice, where he's constantly painting himself as a aw shucks victim of Nicole's relentless.
Yeah, I just did this, and she was very, I was just so buff, and I kept working out and doing push-ups, and I was getting better. Now, Sue, depending on the flirting, I'm just saying, if you're married and you have a family and a kid on the way, just don't flirt at all. Don't flirt at work. Don't flirt. It ends up being an affair, and you ruin your family. That's all I'm going to say. Some flirting is one thing to do. It makes the time go quicker, but you're going to hurt your wife or your husband or whatever. That's all. If you're going to do it, go for it. Have a blast. Just don't bring it home and don't get caught.
Advances.
From North Carolina and stuff like that. And then she's like, "What's all this weed stuff you come?" Like, I took out my phone and showed her a picture. Like, my girl's on the phone. It's like, "Oh, okay." Like, see, like, yeah, like, I didn't wear a ring at work because like I said, also get refitted when I lost all that weight. So, but
you lost so much weight that your fingers lost weight.
Yeah, it was literally like I was out in the snow one time. I went like that. Ring went off on the rocks. So I was panicking trying to find out like can't say anyone. But so after that, she left me alone for a couple days. And she texted me outside the field. And then after that, we just kept texting back and forth. And it was just, like she used to work in a little rig out in.
Right, so he has an excuse for everything. He showed her the photo of his family. The ball was in her court to do something wrong. He had an excuse for not wearing his wedding ring. She left him alone for a couple days.
North Dakota, I think. And we just kind of sharing the stories back and forth about what we did and everything. And then one day it just kind of went to a different level. And then I never thought it would ever go to that level. But she was talking about meeting up after we got back from San Diego. San Diego from the 22nd to the 26th of June. And we met up after we got back. And
he's all buff.
Work in Thornton. Thornton somewhere. And after that,
He actually did get pretty buff, folks. He went from being chunkster Chris Watts to really buff when he started taking those Thrive patches. He was working out, got muscles, he got and I've seen that happen a lot where someone, husband or wife will get into shape and they get a lot of attention and then all of a sudden that happens. So I've been there. I've done that. I've seen things. I've been married for a long time and I've been in the tattoo industry for a long time. And girls will do that right in front of my wife. So I'm not an angel, folks. I'm just telling you that it happens and it's better not to play with fire. Okay. I'm not kidding you when I tell you in my own life story, when I'm doing a tattoo and a girl comes in that's interested, my wife could be standing right there and a girl will do it right in front of her. When I was younger, I would say, she's standing right there. Why don't you ask her? Now I'm too old for that. True story. True story.
Just kept seeing each other pretty much the whole month of July.
So let me ask you this. You tell me if I'm wrong. You strike me as somewhat of a shy person. So when you guys were meeting, it was just kind of very initiatory, like flirting at first? Okay. From both sides?
Yeah, they were just kind of like feeling each other out. It's kind of like, I don't.
Yeah. And so texts, any calls?
More near the end of June.
And what makes you remember that it's June that it happened?
Because we called each other before I left to go to San Diego.
Oh, okay. Right. At first, did you think something might happen?
I just thought it was just flirting. I didn't think it was actually like something.
That's right, folks.
Yeah. Well, it's totally natural, right? I mean, everyone kind of flirts at work, right? Because the relationship between men and women is different. So if you're working with a girl at work, it's just kind of natural to flirt.
I wish I was on the field more.
If you've seen my previous videos in this series analyzing Nicole Kessinger, you'll know that I think the interviewer who interviewed her did a terrible job. For example, he fed her answers. And he even did something which I used as the preview clip for my video, How to Expose Manipulator, because it was so egregious. He actually mocked her for being too talkative, which is the exact opposite of what an interviewer should do.
Like, I'm so much.
All right. Now we're going to listen to Nicole, and I'm glad I got the chat all riled up. People are disgusting who do that. Now, you got to remember, in this day and age, I also do live in the Bay Area, folks, and it's very, very open around here. Some people are so disrespectful, but around here, it's interesting because I've been married so long that I'll get friends come over and they start opening up and they're like, oh yeah, well, we're, what do they call that nowadays when you have more than one? I don't know what they call that, but they're in open relationships and, so they're in open relationships and they're just kind of filling their way in to see if we're into it because that's how the Bay Area of California is. We're near San Francisco. I've been here for a long time. And nowadays we're in 2024. Polyamorous. Thank you, Jojo. I couldn't even think of that. Polygamy. It's polygamy, but polyamory. Polyamory, swingers, whatever. So, I mean, I am 45 years old, but I was 25 when I met my wife. And yeah, it's been a lot happened in the last 20 years, and I've seen a lot. I've been through a lot, and a lot's happened. And people feel their way out. You just have to know to say better. You have to know better to say no. So this kind of shit doesn't happen right here. This guy should have just divorced his wife. Chris Watts should have divorced his wife, took what he had to take, paid his wife half, and moved on with Nicole Kessinger. That's what I recommend.
To talk, I can tell a little bit.
Yeah, a little bit.
400 when she was young. She cranked out about 400 words a minute, gusts up to 600. Oh, thinking, yeah.
You're a talker, so I'm.
By contrast, the officers interviewing Chris Watts here are using much better technique. Does everybody flirt at work? Of course not. Do they know that? Of course they do.
Thank you, Jojo, for the gifted membership. And yeah, like if I was some dumb young person that didn't know any better, and I'd be like, oh, she's so hot. But no, when you have knowledge and wisdom and you start to realize what a wrecking ball can be, this guy wiped his whole family out. He is when you see his name and you look up Family Annihilator, Chris Watts comes up and Nicole Kessinger is still hiding to this day, folks. Gosh darn it. Gosh dang it. God darn it. What's the best way to say that? All right, there it is. Dig nabbit.
Our analysis of him as a psychopath, or as a bumbling innocent victim fall guy, or as a third topic, something different than a psycho or a fall guy.
You like potatoes.
That's totally natural, right? I mean, everyone kind of flirts at work, right? Because the relationship between men and women is different. So if you're working with a girl at work, it's just kind of natural to flirt.
I wish I was on the field more so I know the office those demos, but yeah.
So even there, he wishes he was out in the field more. Whatever happened isn't his fault. He's just a victim of circumstance. If he'd been out in the field more, he wouldn't have fallen victim to the circumstances of Nicole pursuing him.
That's that's kind of where the path started. Isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, if I was like, because when I went from like a rover to a field coordinator, like I would spend more time in the morning time in the office trying to get everything like situated where we're going to go, everything like that. So if I was a rover, I'd be more out in the field instead of like coming to the office like for more than an hour.
Right.
It just gave me more time to run into her, pretty much.
Yeah.
Oh,
What
there
did
he
she know
goes.
about you?
Now
Did she
he's
know you're married first?
full on
She
flirting.
did once I showed her the pictures. Yeah, on the phone. Yeah, I'm like, the home screen picture. So
So was your wife in that picture, or was it just your girl?
it was just my girls right there, but my wife was the lock screen.
Oh.
So she knew I was married, my kids. Yeah.
Are you aware that she said she didn't know you were married? What do you think about that?
I figured it was like just trying to save face, trying to, I was just trying to, and some of my sister said it was like, just trying to keep things together. Just trying, she phrased it a different way, but just kind of like,
Now that right there was a full-blown relationship while Shannan was out of town. The whole time she was out of town, they were living like they were two single people without a care in the world. Nicole Kessinger should have just left him alone. It didn't happen. Don't wipe out your family, folks. What? Just say no. And nobody's perfect, y'all. I'm sure a ton of you have had affairs or had relationships or been cheated on or whatever. Just don't wipe your family out. It ain't worth it. What? You're absolutely right. And Nicole Kessinger sure isn't worth it. That idiot Chris Watts is still sitting in jail, all pathetic, pretending like he found God. I'm not sure what God he found, but if he thinks that he's going to be saved, I hope that he's saved. I hope that he found the same God that we look up to, that we pray to every night, that we pray to every day, all day, for all the children, all the people. I hope it's that one, but I don't know that a psychopath, if he is, or a narcissist, whatever this man has been diagnosed with, I'm not sure that he actually found what he's looking for other than to not feel bad and be able to sleep every night. Let's hear Deception Detective and what he thinks.
it's like ground control is trying to control everything that's going on around her. 'Cause I'm sure she got bombarded by all kinds of different sides from the media and everything. So
Did you talk to her at all? No.
I'm hoping she hasn't written me in a different alias or something. No, I'm not talking to her that way.
Oh.
And are you not allowed to talk to her?
I would hope not.
Okay. No one told you that then?
No, I mean, I would expect I thought like in Colorado it said like on a DOC list that if you're on like a victim list, you can't call anybody. But here I'm not sure if that's the same. But I just talked to my sister, parents, some friends of my parents.
Do you wish you could talk to her?
Maybe once just to
get some closure?
Just to say like, hey, just once.
Okay, keep in mind, I wanted to give you a little backstory on this. This is audio that's cleaned up, and this is this is why it's so fantastic. This is after the police go and talk to Chris when he's already in prison, folks. And I wanted to play these before, but they just sounded so terrible. So Kelly, if you're listening, or anybody from Watts the Obsession, thank you, Kelly, for cleaning up the audio, because his story is much more different than when he's sitting there in the interrogation room. It's a lot different. And so now he just said that he wish he can talk to Nicole Kessinger one more time to get some closure. You'd think you'd want to get some closure when you took out your whole family for this lady, or whatever you want to call her. I don't think she's much of a lady. I wouldn't call it that. This homewrecker, you'd think you would want to get closure if you wiped out your whole family for her, and she just stopped talking to him. Wow, that's sucks for you, Chris. You did all that for nothing. Wah, wah, wah.
Yeah.
Say like, I'm sorry this all happened. I'm sorry. I'm not sure what happened afterward.
I'm sorry this all happened. I'm not quite sure what happened. Even in a hypothetical apology to Nicole, Chris cannot bring himself to take any responsibility for anything, whether it's the courtship and the affair, or the murder, or even the fallout that resulted from the murder. And it's this lack of remorse and self-centeredness that convinces me Chris is a psychopath. And now that we're convinced, or at least I am, that he's a psychopath, the next step in our analysis is to determine which type of psychopath he is. Because when it comes to detecting lies, psychopaths are extremely adept at fooling people. They can be very convincing, and they can play the victim card very well. So if you've seen my videos, how to catch a psychopath or how to spot a psychopath, you're probably already familiar with these. But I like to put lying psychopaths into two buckets: bold psychopaths and calculating psychopaths. And once we determine which one Chris is, we'll be able to be even more nuanced in protecting ourselves against his manipulations. All that said, big caveat, I am not a clinician, so I cannot diagnose a psychopath. The behavior panel have pointed out on one of my videos, they don't agree with my psychopath checklist. Personally, I think my checklist is useful for spotting a psychopath so that you can guard yourself against the way they lie. Remember, the point of my channel is to help you spot lies and manipulation. Not to be a therapist or cure these people. My advice has always been, whether we're analyzing psychopaths or addicts or...
What are we talking about? Peter Shane, do we have a troll or do you really not know what's going on? Are we really advertising joys of potatoes? Not sure. We do have a gay book that I wrote. Absolutely. We are very gay friendly here, folks. And that's the book that I wrote. So this is not about Nicole Kessinger and Chris Watts, the whole show. We are doing Watts Wednesday. Hello, Peter Shane. I hope you're not here to troll. And thank you for knowing that we call the potato, the only potato I know around here is Jennifer Soto. That's the name that Oblivious Benson gave her. We believe she's a potato. She looks like one. So I don't know any other potatoes. Y'all have, you guys are moderators.
If you recognize the signs, just get them out of your life. So when I hit play, ask yourself, is Chris a big and bold storyteller like Casey Anthony or O.J. Simpson? Or is he more calculating like Jada Pinkett Smith or Stephen Stearns or Jody Hildebrand?
Through like, if you had like counseling, if you're like, different state, if you had to leave everything behind, I just wanted to let you know I'm sorry that something was not probably happening or happening to somebody else either.
Would you be all right if we told her that?
That's fine.
Do you want her to? You want her not to?
And if she would want you, I'm not sure. So I'm sure she answered your phone call more than the attorney phone call that she didn't want to go answer. Yeah,
she's not cute.
Oh, so your attorney tried to call her and she wouldn't answer.
Yeah, because I remember her phone number, but after that they figured out where she lived. And they left a call business card there. And she just pretty much after like the fifth attempt, she said stop. I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm sure she's getting bombarded like everyone else. So
there you go.
And hopefully it's calmed down since, but I'm sure like I just hope she can like I'm not there's like normalcy for her, not since she's on the outside, but I'm hoping it can get that way at some point. I'm not sure if she had to leave Colorado or not, but I'm sure that would have been hard if she did.
Mm-hmm.
So knowing Darker was a dream job, so that's one thing I always like asked my attorneys is like, did she have to leave? Like, did she have to do anything at work? That was one thing. So she always told me that was her dream job. So,
oh really? Yeah. What did she mean?
Chris Watts was always so worried about Nicole Kessinger, folks, that we literally may never get the answers that we are desiring. And that's why 5 years later, we're still covering and we still have channels like Watts the Obsession and Deception Detective. Y'all know I love that man, and not in that way. I just think he's brilliant, and everything he does is just, it's fantastic and brilliant. And what did Jada Pinkett Smith do? We may have to do a members only about what Jada Pinkett Smith did, folks. I'm not going to even get into that right now, but I guess we're going to be doing a Lisk serial killer next week. We're going to do Lisk, and we're going to do a members only. So if you're not a member, become a member, because Lisk is crazy. And we're going to start back from the beginning. And I already have the story down. I've been following it. So it's not that hard, but I want to get into the list with my members only. That way we can say whatever we want. It's pretty brutal, folks. Pretty brutal. Yes, Jay. What's up, Jack Storm? So having such a fun night with you tonight, everybody. Thank you for being here so much. Last night the chat was on fire. I got over probably 150 new subscribers last night, but I had a lot of fires to put out after, and I love you all tonight. The vibe is just chill, so thank you.
Like in the old company in the dark, I was like, unless you work for like BP or like or something.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
In the dark, I was like,
that's like big leagues. Yeah.
Bleh, bleh.
Can I ask kind of a question? Did you love her?
I felt like it was true. Yeah.
I felt like I loved
Chris
her.
can't definitively say he loved Nicole. Yeah, I think that's true, was the best he could muster up. And that is expected of a psychopath. Psychos do not feel emotions like you and me. And I've been saying this ever since the beginning when I started this series. Before I even analyzed Chris, this is the first time I've analyzed any of Chris's words. Up until now, I've only analyzed Nicole's interviews. But based on what Nicole said and based on the facts around this case, I came to the opinion that Chris didn't kill his family because he loved Nicole. He wanted to be with Nicole, and the quickest, most convenient way to achieve that was simply to kill his family. Divorces are messy, they're time-consuming, and they're expensive. And his wife was pregnant, so even if he divorced her, he'd still have 18 years of child support and potentially alimony to pay. Psychopaths look at the world in terms of people being useful and not useful. And Chris determined that his family was no longer useful.
So Chris is absolutely a psychopath, folks. I'm going to tell you, faith and repentance. I have no idea what it's going to take for them to look at Chris Proudfoot's work site like they did the Watts. Watts, he confessed. He told them what he did. He told them what they did, and it was heinous. But Chris Proudfoot, they have nothing on them. They're not even investigating them right now, as far as I know. Thank you, Stacy Perry, for the $4.99. You guys are great. I love you all. I love the crime crew. I can't wait until we get bigger and have more fun. But we are going to blow up pretty soon, because having the Dr. Andrew Thomas and Bree Michelot back on, and Mr. Strategic Eyes is going to come on, who's a police officer from New York. Y'all, it's just a lot of love. And Coach Complete, we do love you. Yeah, I think that's true. I'm going to actually steal that. Do you love me? That's a good line. If you're single, Coach Complete, just say that to a lady. Give her those puppy dog eyes, and it works every time. Not that I know.
If you agree with me that Chris is likely a psychopath, or at least close enough to a psychopath that we can analyze him based on my criteria, our next step is to say whether or not he is a bold psychopath or a calculating psycho. So here's the foretells of a bold psycho. And when I say bold psycho, think of someone like O.J. Simpson or Casey Anthony or Amber Heard, who we've analyzed on the channel. They have very convincing face and body language. They can display duper's delight. In other words, the elation of getting away with a lie, when any normal person like you or me would likely be too stressed to be all giddy about getting away with a lie. We'd be too focused on pulling off the lie. They tell big, bold stories, but those stories lack emotional and relationship details. And they struggle face to face. So if you have the opportunity to interview one of them, you want to get them to sit down with you so that you can expose them, which is why I've invited Don Wells for an interview in my Summer Wells series, who declined, as well as Chris Proudfoot in my Sebastian Rogers series, who also has not gotten back to me. But I don't think Chris falls into the bold psychopath category. Instead, I think he falls into the calculating psychopath category, like Candace Wells. And here's the trademarks of a calculating psychopath. They excel at evasion and distraction. So rather than boldly lying to your face, they'll likely try to distract you or go on a tangent so that they can minimize the amount of lying they have to do.
And I absolutely, after hearing interviews, even though I'm not bringing it on my show right now, I absolutely think you're right, goatee boy. The comment, Coach Complete, says goatee boy. I think Chris Proudfoot, more than ever, him and Katie Proudfoot had something to do with Sebastian Rogers going missing. I'm staying out of the drama, but I'm listening to the interviews. I'm listening to the things that are happening. And I cannot believe that the Proudfoots are not being investigated, that they're not looking and taking swabs of the house, that it's not all taped off, that they're not looking at the work, at Chris's work, and they're not looking at that damn motorhome they're staying in. I absolutely can't understand it. Brenda Pavey, I love being a member of the crime crew. No drama. You're great. Thank you, Brenda. And pass that on to all the people in the crime crew. No drama. That's what we want around here. I love all of you for the no drama, all the love. And sometimes I get passionate, and I must have ADHD because I'll start a sentence and I don't say it to completeness. And then someone goes out and they take me out of they take it out of context what I said. So they hear part of it and then they don't hear the whole other rest that I was going to say because I get distracted. And then I have this big drama thing on my hands. So drama-free zone. I never am a threat to y'all, I promise, and I don't mean anything bad. So if I say anything that ever hurts y'all or offends somebody, I promise I'm not doing that. I'm just being passionate and my words come out wrong. And you got to remember, I'm live right now, folks, going being live and being under pressure. Last night I had 1,200 people in chat. My phone was ringing. Jenny came on. Millie was messaging me. I had so many things going on. It was ridiculous. I was under a lot of pressure last night, and I had to put out a few fires, but I wish people would understand that I am live and I have a bunch of things going on. So I appreciate the ones that do like the drama free zone. We love you. And let's try to keep it that way. Yeah, we are only human, but people don't understand that. I think they want a robot. If you want a robot, then call Chris Proudfoot because he has robot voices for days, folks.
They excel at information treatment. In other words, they can tell you the truth and the whole truth, but they can also add more to it that distorts it. Kind of like how Chris was talking about not wearing his wedding ring. I think that was all true, but he made sure to mention that and didn't mention any other circumstances about him flirting with Nicole. In other words, he treated the information to look like a good guy. They used excessive narcissistic words like I, me, and my. And as we've seen here, Chris does appear to be very self-centered, if not totally narcissistic, because I can't diagnose him. And fourth, calculating psychopaths, just like every psychopath, has a below average IQ. So don't let movies like American Psycho fool you. Psychopaths are usually dumber than the average person. As we listen on, look out for Chris evading sensitive topics by distracting the interviewers. Also look out for him telling totally true stories, but treating the information in order to paint everything in a certain light. And as we've seen so far, he likes to paint himself in the light of a victim, an aw shucks everyman who's always at the mercy of these conniving and bullying women.
Deception Detective might be a robot too. I agree. He's a very good robot. They made a robot 5.0. If he is a robot I don't think he's single. He might be, but for all you ladies out there that say how much Deception Detective is fire, he is a pretty good looking man. I will say that. He's a good looking robot, folks. Deception Detective, if you could hear us, there's a lot of ladies in my chat that really think you're a good looking robot, sir. So hit that like button for DD and don't forget to subscribe to him afterwards. He may just be a robot. And Chris is a psychopath. We've heard it from the man himself.
Finally, look out for his narcissism, especially in his use of narcissistic words. Remember, even though he's expressed no remorse for it, his little daughters and his wife are all dead.
Can I ask kind of a question?
See?
Did you love her?
Yeah.
I felt like it was true.
Yeah.
Look at all that.
I think so too. I think it was the same from her.
Hey, Cyber Sleuth.
Okay. Tell us about the time spent with her.
Well, I mean, it felt like it was, I think like when you say like more like a shy guy, it's kind of like I've never like been pursued by anybody before. It's kind of like I was the one, trying to pursue. Because like when me and Shannan met, it was like, she was always like pushing me away, kind of like,
She was sick for a while, right?
she had just got diagnosed with lupus and she was on like a bunch of different medications and stuff. And it was like, I guess I wasn't her type. And
you weren't her type?
I wasn't her type because like she told me like when she first, because we had met.
She told you that?
Yeah.
I remember you telling me that.
Yeah, it was like, when we first met, like was at a movie theater. My cousin's ex-wife set us up.
You were dressed like shit, weren't you?
I didn't.
That's what you told me.
Yeah, I didn't know like that.
People have any games?
So she was fancy. She was in like shorts and tennis shoes or something, right?
I should know the doorman, was in a suit. I was just like.
Now, check this out, folks. Somebody said this in chat earlier. Shannan was a businesswoman. She was a lot classier. This guy was a potato man. Like he'd wear his pants real soggy, no belt. His shirt kind of like mine is right now. After a long day of work, it's kind of soggy and not crisp anymore. He was kind of with his boots and he was just a backwater dude. And Shannan bossed me around just like Momma did. Boo-hoo. Shannan done bossed me around. I got tired of it. And this yoga lady came over and told me I looked good. So I took off with her. We're going to hear his mom in a little bit. His mom is delusional, by the way. I don't know. When I hear her talk, I'm like, what is wrong with this lady? Your son just annihilated his entire family. And then listen how she talks about the situation. Unbelievable. I can't make these stories up, folks.
This isn't good. I like when you're at the theater.
It was a fancy theater, right?
It was in Charlotte. It was called the Epicenter. Apparently, they give you like champagne and all kinds of stuff.
Oh, this is a fancy date night, dude.
Champagne.
I think he came like he was going to a
Like I was
Cinemax,
like I was going to a
like AMC.
theater. No, it was like you can just watch the normal movie, but like you can like drink champagne and like have like a jacket beside the theater and just sit there.
Hit the like button.
Whatever, but like, yeah, when she first saw me, she was like, I should probably just turn and talk to the bartender a little more. No, I'm not here to meet.
Once again, Chris uses information treatment to portray himself as a lovable, aw shucks underdog who's teased and tormented by a wily woman. Just this time,
It was.
Shannan. Of course, just like a story told by any calculating manipulator, it could be interpreted differently. For example, consider it this way, without the information treatment. Shannan spent hours finding a play for them to go to. She booked the tickets. She was excited about a big night out with Chris, so she spent hours in the mirror dolling herself up, picking out an outfit, and then he shows up like he just rolled out of bed. Now, with my information treatment,
Out of a
who is the
cornfield.
deflated, belittled victim, and who is the one taking their partner for granted? This is the hallmark of calculating manipulators. Whether it's Chris Watts or Jada Pinkett Smith, they do not necessarily lie the way a big, bold, psychopathic liar lies. Instead, they distort the truth by what they highlight, like Chris
Small
did here with
increments.
Shannan belittling him and humiliating him by flirting with the bartender, and what they decide to minimize, like him minimizing the fact that he put little to no effort into the date, which probably belittled and humiliated Shannan. And of course, the tone they use when they tell the story. And we saw Nicole Kessinger do a lot of this, where they say verbatim what they said, but they use a very different tone than they likely used in real life. This is why we must be very careful about jumping to conclusions regarding Shannan, because she's not around to defend herself or tell her side of the story.
And thank you for saying that. Everybody has an opinion, and there's things that we all do wrong, but we live and we're able to correct them. So I agree. MLM is a pyramid scheme, and I'll say that without Shannan being attached to it. Thrive was expensive. It was an income. Actually, that's what she did all the time. Her family, she was promoting it day in, day out, and using the family to promote it. I've had friends like that. I've had good friends that do that. They're off of that kick now. They do it for 4 years. Their whole family loses weight. Their husband gets ripped. And then the 4 years is over and the husband's fat again and they've put him on a bunch of pounds. But they're alive to learn their lessons, folks. We all make mistakes. And then we could learn our lessons. Crime to Remember says we have a past. We can agree to disagree. Absolutely. We've all made mistakes. I'm probably one of the least imperfect people in here, but I'm bringing you the knowledge that I have now. I'll be 45 next month, and I've done a lot of things that I'm not proud of. I've made mistakes, but I don't call them mistakes because I've learned from them. What I call them is lessons. I call them our lessons, if I want to say that properly. So we make mistakes and we live to correct them. Thank you, Karen, so much. Thank you for the 5 memberships. You people will not be disappointed. The members only things are either fun or very intriguing, and you learn a whole bunch of stuff that I can't show everybody else. So if you become a member right now because Karen's gift, please thank her. It's going to be a wild ride, y'all.
Everything we know about her as a wife is filtered through Chris, whose goal is
Exactly.
to be
Thank you.
perceived as a victim. He would love nothing more than the general public to think that Shannan pushed him over the edge by belittling and humiliating him, or that Nicole Kessinger manipulated him into killing his family. And since I've mentioned Shannan, and I'm aware there's many theories out there about how she wasn't the perfect partner and she might have even been sadistic, I'll just reiterate what I said in the DD forum back in March. Shannan Watts was a victim in this tragic event, not the perpetrator, and I am opposed to contributing to Chris's attempts to garner sympathy by assigning even one iota of blame to her without undeniable proof. As I often emphasize in my videos, psychopaths are highly skilled at making themselves appear as the victim. And that is what I think is going on, and I called it back then before I'd even analyzed one word from Chris. There are no sacred cows on my channel, as everyone knows, but I do think we can let Shannan rest in peace.
She first saw me, she was like, I should probably just turn and talk to the bartender a little more. No, I'm not here to meet. yeah, like I was like persistent trying to pursue something. I liked her, and even on the first day, like I couldn't even eat anything really. I was just like,
Just nervous.
oh yeah,
Really?
yeah. She was just like chowing down, and she was like, "You're like a bird." I'm like, "It's funny." And she taught my parents like months later. She was like, "This guy just never ate." He's like, "This guy eats like a trash disposal." This trash disposal. I was like, "No, that was not around me." I was like, well, "I'm just nervous." I was just like, I was always like shaking and everything. But yeah, I was always pursuing her, and then just like finally, I grew onto her. Like I'm always like with her medications and stuff. I would always like she had like 8 bottles of medication, so I would always get like her day and nights and kind of like put them all in that little flip open box, all that kind of stuff. And
Again, the Ridge Rider, I have friends that have gone through bankruptcies multiple times. They have rich parents, they help pay their stuff off, but they've been married for 20 years now. The one family in particular I'm thinking of, but multiple families that live to tell another day, live to tell another story. It's okay to be in debt, 70,000 in credit cards. It's okay to file bankruptcy. It's okay. Thrive was a huge expense, but you get to live through it. And had Chris Watts just divorced Shannan and just paid the child support, did whatever, it would have been a much brighter day. 70,000 in the Bay Area is nothing to be in credit card debt. Not that I'm in that debt, but I have a $1.4 million house and I still owe $200,000 on it. So am I in debt for $200,000? You tell me, but I'm alive to talk about it. We have a motorhome that's $105,000. We owe probably $50,000. Am I in debt? We just hit 222, folks. Angel numbers. Say a prayer for the Watts family. And I also am going to share some pictures with you afterwards with my whole ceiling being gone. Yes, the whole ceiling is gone. I didn't want to go in my room and check it out, folks, but my ceiling is gone. Like the whole damn thing. It's just the ceiling and then it goes up to the attic. So I could hear the birds and stuff. It's crazy. Yeah. Chris and Stephen Stearns have the same shaky voice. And you're right. I notice when people get caught in something or lying, they talk real like this and they're just quiet and their voices get small. It's very interesting, right? Anyway, 222, y'all. Always angel numbers. Let's listen to this pathetic guy and what excuses.
I would always, be around her. I even went to her colonoscopy. And she said after that, she knew that was like kind of a keeper. And it's like, who goes to a colonoscopy after 3 months with somebody? Right.
That's a little soon.
But she asked if she needed a ride. I'm like, yeah. She's like, you want to go across colonoscopy with me? I'm like, sure, why not? Like even sat with her while she drank that nasty stuff all day. Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah, that nasty stuff.
Or she's in the bathroom all day.
Yeah. like clear stuff that doesn't really taste clear.
Agreed.
Yeah. But yeah, it was. I mean,
he should have just
it
left.
felt like it was a great relationship. Everything was great.
Yep.
Now you're talking
Maybe
about
you're
with
right.
Kessinger.
No, with emotion and like the first year, like, my parents never. Oh no, my mom was always kind of hesitant.
What?
I was the baby, I guess. I never had a girlfriend in high school, so it's kind of like
He was the baby boy, folks. He never had a girlfriend in high school and then he got married. Couples who colonoscopy, I can't even say it. Couples who colonoscopy together stay together. Remember that. Actually, it's the opposite. Coach complete. Those who colonoscopy together don't stay together. Don't get hooked into it, folks. Don't go to your husband and wife's colonoscopy. Well, actually, you have to drive them home because don't they give you that laughing gas stuff? I don't know. Just don't do it.
she never like really saw me like.
Oh, interesting. So she's kind of watching her baby walk out a little bit.
Yeah, because now I turned 18. I graduated. I never moved back.
Okay.
At home. So my sister moved back and forth all the time. So
How old were you when you met Shannan?
Yes.
I was 25. I was 2010. So
Based on the way Chris was telling the stories earlier, I would not have guessed that he was 25 when he met Shannan. And once again, it's the power of information treatment. He paints
That's
himself
all
as
I
this
was.
shy, virginal, henpecked little boyfriend who's too
Virginal.
nervous to eat on the first date and is shuffling his demanding girlfriend around to appointments. And besides the manipulation of painting himself as this lovable aw shucks victim, we're also seeing glimmers of narcissism and psychopathy as far as my amateur assessment goes. For example, when it came to Shannan's illness, he's the victim. Well, I had to sit there when she was drinking that disgusting clear stuff. Poor little Chris. How many words does he spare lamenting what Shannan was going through or empathizing with her being sick and having to be shuttled around? Not one. In other words, all of this is spoken like a true calculating manipulator, if not a psychopath. And when I hit play, listen closely, because when Chris gets pressed about never having a girlfriend before, as he claims here, he actually changes his story, which is just a nice little confirmation that he's being fast and loose with the facts.
So no serious girlfriends before that?
Nothing more than like 6 months or so. Yeah, there was some.
Yeah, that's a beautiful family, folks. And if you don't want that family, just leave. Who cares about the money? It's always going to come back. As long as we're alive, we're going to have it. It's going to come around again. We always end up okay. We're all still here. Debt is just the way that the world works, especially America and the United States. If you own anything, you're going to be in debt. If you have multiple houses, you got to be in debt to the mortgages. Even if you pay them off, you end up buying something else. Then you buy a piece of property. Then you have 3 cars. Then your kids need cars. And you have grandkids and you help them go to college. We're always going to be in debt. So don't let that be a factor into why you stay in a marriage that you don't want to be in. And please don't off your family, folks. Yeah, this is disturbing. That's a beautiful family. And I wish they were still here. Cece was hilarious. A lot of people say a lot of things about Shannan. There's whole channels about that, by the way, that are dedicated to picking out the bad things that Shannan did on the channel, that that they didn't like. And yeah, Chris was not thinking of that. He should have. I'm sure he's thinking of it now, but it's better to get the awareness out and take a look at someone that's a psychopath or could possibly be. Look at the signs of him and how he was very passive aggressive. He would let her boss him around, and then behind the scenes he was like just uber full on cheating, like he was going to leave his wife knowing damn well he wasn't. So look at the signs. This is why Deception Detective does these series. What does a psychopath look like? So you can spot those signs without doing background checks.
Girls here and there, but there's nothing more like, the last girlfriend I had before Shannan, she was just actually got divorced, and I should never did that. But it was more of like I was kind of like helping her get through her divorce. It seemed like she went on to somebody else. I'm like, oh, nice to know.
You're the rebound
Wow.
guy.
Rebound guy.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
But how it goes.
Would you say that in your relationships with women, it seems to me, and you tell me if I'm wrong, it seems to me like you're attracted to maybe a more dominant personality?
It seemed like it because I'm more of the just reserved. I mean, I'm just kind of like go with the flow type.
Yeah.
And like Shannon usually made all the decisions. Seemed like so.
Yeah.
I get that. I'm saying, yeah, I don't know what it is.
Yeah. I don't think that's right with you, but
So then I know it's hard to keep bouncing back and forth. but-
Absolutely disgusting,
and,
right?
and one of the reasons we're here is we just keep
I'm a
telling
beta
ourselves,
boy,
Chris
Chris.
just does not fit the mold. Chris does not.
no.
Like it just blew us away what happened, right? And so we will do a little bit of bouncing back and forth, and that's really just to get to know you a little bit better. And we never really got
He
that chance to
doesn't.
Pretty much twice.
Yeah.
Met you once.
Yeah.
Probably like 3. Well, remember 3 or 4 times probably.
So then when you call her Nikki or Nicole?
I would call her Nikki.
Okay.
I know there's so many Nikki and Nicoles in this.
Right.
I got confused.
So we'll call her Nikki. So then with Nikki, was it different?
It just seemed like I was more in control. It seemed like, and that never happened. Like she'd actually like asked me like my opinion on a lot of things, just like what I wanted to do, and just kind of like, okay,
That was new, wasn't it?
Very new.
Interesting.
It's
Tell us
fascinating.
more.
Once again, everything Chris is saying could very likely be true. Shannan could have been the leader in their relationship and even domineering at times.
And she was. We saw that on video. We saw that she was. There's a lot of families that have that dynamic. Most families have somebody running the show, so to speak, that wear the pants, and the other ones that sit back and they do their thing. And then you come together and you have 2 people that make things wonderful happen. That's how my family is. I run the show, and that's my partner in crime that does all the stuff that I need her to do. And that's how we're supposed to work in relationships, folks. You have a balance there. So yeah, Chris could have spoke up. He should have just got a divorce. He honestly should have got a divorce. I think that it just came out of nowhere. He is soulless. I think that he was trucking along in his life with Shannan and the kids. And when he realized he was going to get stuck He felt stuck with another baby coming along that he did not want. And then Nicole came along and did all these very sexual things that he wasn't getting at home. He just snapped and he realized he needed to get out. And he didn't want to get out in the typical way where you pay child support, folks, and you got to pay spousal and you got to give them half, because us gays have the same thing. We have the right to marry and the right to divorce. What? What? Jay, do you think the FBI agents really thought he was going to tell them the truth? If so, are they wasting their time? They're wasting their time. I think he changed his story many times. And I think, to answer your questions, the FBI agents really, I think, were trying to look into the mind of a family annihilator and get answers, because I believe they snapped to judgment too quickly. They should have never done a plea deal the way they did, run it through the court system, and not even properly at all interview Nicole Kessinger. Now, we have a whole series on that with Deception Detective. We have at least 5 interviews with Deception Detective and Nicole Kessinger, and they absolutely rushed to judgment. And I think they did want to go back and find out what they missed. No one's ever going to get the truth. This guy is, maybe actually one day he might come and say, Nicole Kessinger was there that morning. We have no idea. Lust and greed. Yeah, that's a big part of it. I don't know where the greed came in, other than he didn't want his paycheck to be gone, but the lust, I could see that with all their text messages.
But Chris's presentation of the events, down to his shaky, feeble voice as he recounts the
Yep.
relationship,
Feeble.
appears calculated to give the impression of a victim. And since
Yeah,
so
they
much
are.
of this video revolves around information treatment, I'll just read you the relevant card from my deception deck. The card is Spotting Common Lies, and it is in the Concepts suit. I swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help me God.
No, he's
Testimony oath.
not.
When evaluating statements for deception, consider the 3 components of the testimony oath. 1. Commission. This involves bold-faced lies of commission, where an individual outright contradicts the oath's pledge to tell the truth through direct falsehoods. In other words, bold liars. 2. Omission. Here, lies of omissions occur. The
Where's
subject
my
tells
deck?
part of the truth, but intentionally omits incriminating, crucial information, not adhering to the whole truth. And this is the most common type of lie. And 3rd, distortion. The final method of lying involves information treatment. The truth is presented is warped with additional language, such as exclusion qualifiers or a passive tone, deviating from nothing but the truth. And this is the difference between bold liars who lie by commission, average liars who lie by omission, and then calculating liars who lie with information treatment.
And he'll tell us in a minute, and I always appreciate that. Malibu Surfer, that scares me, and I'm going to read this card in a second. I like the reminiscent effect of this, because this is what we were talking about with the FBI. They keep going back and they keep revisiting a case, and we all do, because Chris Watts' story keeps changing. This in the card deck is a reminiscent effect. And in this, it says honest people may change their stories slightly with each retelling as they recall and prioritize new details over time. Now, people that aren't honest will do it on purpose, and you can see how their stories change, like Chris Watts has 5 times. Conversely, if a story remains rigidly consistent in its details, emotions, and sequencing on every retelling, it may have been fabricated. And that one seems a lot like which I don't even want to bring up. It says this is known as scripting. Raise your hand if you know who did a scripting with each other. Now, what leads me to that is Malibu Surfer says Nicole Kessinger got away with erasing her cell phone. Unreal. I had a pretty good conversation today about Jennifer Soto and she may not get charged with anything, folks. There's a good possibility she's going to walk away like Casey Anthony and Nicole Kessinger, because they got the bad guy and they got the guy that did their big giant crimes, and that's enough. So think about Nicole Kessinger, think about Casey Anthony, think about Kayla Montgomery, and what may happen if that happens. Yeah, very mind-blowing. I'm going to have we're going to do mark your calendars, Saturday evening, I think 7:30 p.m. Strategic, who is a police officer from New York, is going to talk about the laws and why Jennifer Soto may not be charged and what she could be charged for if she is. But that's all she could be charged for, and she may not be. So mark your calendars. And then after that, we're going to stop talking about those things until they happen, and we're going to stick to the case facts and what happens next, what documents drop, what arrests happen. We're going to stop speculating after Saturday. All right. What's up, KA Pisces? See, on the other hand, I love when you guys tell me when you come and go. Jen, better hope one of us does it. Yeah, I heard that earlier on the phone call too. Somebody said that they would actually do that and they would take the jail time for it. And I told them, please don't do that. We love you too much. So, all right, let's keep listening what a psychopath looks like. And then we're going to listen to Mama's boy mom talk about her baby boy.
In other words, they're not technically lying. And that's what I believe we have with Chris a lot of the time here. So when I hit play, pay attention to how Chris frames his dates with Nicole. The picture he paints is if he's a little boy sneaking away with her and discovering a new world of opportunities. He can go camping with her or watch a drag race, things he's always wanted to do. Of course, nothing was preventing him from doing any of these things this entire time. And it certainly wasn't Shannan.
He's a police officer, and I can't tell you much more about his background because he's doing it right now. I wish I could tell you the whole thing. Trust me when I say, and please do trust my judgment, he knows the law. And yeah, that's all I can say. All right. So when I do say a police officer from New York, just trust me that he knows, and I know he knows. And his name is Strategic. We can't even say his real name. He has a channel with 53,000 followers. Okay. So he knows his stuff, or I wouldn't even bring him on my show to talk about it if he didn't. So thank you for trusting my judgment. Yeah, I could probably get other people on to talk about that, but it's all over court TV all the time. So I feel bad for both the parents, which parents always could never any trouble. It's the quiet ones. And I always say that, be careful for the quiet ones, folks. Shannan was light years ahead of that woman in beauty. I agree. This is hurting my eyes, so I'm going to hit play because I don't want to see this anymore.
He met her when he was 25 years old, and she couldn't even prevent him from sleeping over at Nicole's house multiple nights during their courtship. In other words, if you have a manipulator in your own life, they probably manipulate you the same way Chris is attempting to manipulate his audience by painting themselves in a very different light without telling any actual lies.
It just seemed like I was more in control, it seemed like. And that never happened.
Yeah.
Like she'd actually like asked me like my opinion on a lot of things, was like what I wanted to do, and just kind of like okay.
That's new, wasn't it?
Very new.
It's fascinating to me. And so did it feel more like an equal partnership, or?
It seemed like it.
Yeah. Okay. So then when it was date night, would you guys talk about it? Would you ask to go somewhere? Would she say, I want to go somewhere? Was it too fast?
The first time we went out, it was to a movie over at the Orchard, about 144th over there. And I asked her, like, hey, you want to go see this movie? And she's like, yeah. I'm like, okay, cool. And we got there, it was sold out. And, normally probably just have, just wait 2 hours, like, just go home. But now she just want to walk around and talk. Like, okay. Oh, wow. So that was different. And, I think she wanted to go to the car museum.
That was different.
Museum in Boulder. I've never been there. And
that's right up your alley. So
yeah, I was just like,
look at the beautiful little girls, and they look so much like Shannan too. But Nicole Kessinger wanted to go to a car show, and my wife would never do that with me. So let's pick Nicole and get rid of my children. This guy.
That was awesome, just to walk around cars for like an hour or so.
Scripting does fall apart.
Drag race in Vandermeer. Okay. I haven't been to a drag race since 2008. That was Charlotte.
I haven't been to a drag race since 2008, and I married my wife at 25, and this girl was giving me anal with a big bottle of lube, and I loved her so much. Savage Barbie 305. Oh my, I caught alive. Yes, hello crime crew. And Savage Barbie, you are a savage. Every time I get a comment from you, I'm like, this lady's a savage. Thank you for catching alive with us. Yeah, wah. Hi, Jay and the crew. What's up? God's Mercy 77. Hello. And Savage Barbie, you are a savage. Yeah, right about his mom. Yeah, wait till we listen to his mom. She thinks he's like a little angel and he's still in diapers. It's almost weird how she talks about him and the whole thing. And remember, she didn't like Shannan. those, you know, those moms that like don't want their sons to ever marry.
But like that was the main drag strip over there. That's like the NHRA, the top build, and one car stuff. Like me and my dad used to grow up.
Yeah.
Go there with them. And then like went to camping in Sand Dunes National Park, and I'd never been camping. I always wanted to do it. Thought it was she'd done it like countless times.
Oh, really? Okay. She's outdoorsy.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. She. I guess she every time like she needed to clear her head, she just go by herself. Just go somewhere else. You know.
But she's a completely new type of person and relationship. Yeah. Okay.
Right,
All right.
dummy.
What were you thinking this whole time? Like,
in the back of my head, I was telling myself, "What are you doing?" Like, you know, every time, you know, I open up my phone, I can see pictures like of my wife and my kids, and it's like, "What am I doing?" And then, like every time I was with her, it seemed like didn't think. It seemed like it was like a blinder that was on my face.
Oh,
and it was like every time I look back on it, like, you know, like I have pictures of my wife and kids and myself, and like every night, you know, every morning, every night, you know, I just, you know, talk to them, you know, say like I have like this book I used to read for Cece, and I remember that book, so I read that to them like every night, and like there's some scripture and stuff that I read to them. So
absolutely,
you know, just trying to think back, like I wish this never happened. I was like, I wish that blinder went on my head, went in my eyes. That would have seen what was going on. Like
once again, Chris cannot take responsibility for anything he did. He blames everything he did on these blinders, and I wish I didn't have these blinders. It's not my fault. So now we're getting into the details of Chris's relationship with Nicole. And remember, if Nicole was involved in the planning, execution, or cover-up of the murders, this is where we might get some clues about that, especially if we detect for the first time so far this interview that he's attempting to minimize her involvement in any stage of the murders, since he's done the opposite so far across this entire interview, blaming everyone but himself for everything, down to the affair, the courtship, and even the little blinders on his head. If you've not seen my analysis of Nicole, I have plenty of questions about her too. They're on your screen now. I recommend watching them next. And if you want to continue this series, let's get this video to 50,000 views. Until next time, stay true.
Stay true and blue, folks. All right, we're not done here. We're not done here at all. We're gonna see what they call the emails of doom. And you know, a lot of people do a good job with this particular subject. Dr. Grande is one person I like to play a lot. There's another one called Crime Talk that did a really good job at it, but it's a little bit longer. So let me make sure this is the right one. And him talking about the initial emails, the emails of doom. What do you call this? Where is it? Is this it? Have you guys seen the emails? Hold on real quick. Give me 1 second, folks. Don't leave, because the emails of doom definitely are. It's really interesting if you haven't seen them. Let's talk about the theory that emails predicted the affair and they have indicated a certain personality. Let me make sure he shows the emails and he's not just. Okay, this is it. Let me share this with you. I'm not ready to go yet. I'm not ready to go. So I don't think you guys are yet. I think people are. This one guy says that he was Chris Watts' lover or whatever, some little gay boy, some twink, and it could be true or it could not be. But Dr. Grande goes over them a little bit quicker than Crime Talk, and I respect both of them. So I want to talk about the emails that came through originally. If you haven't seen them, and watch how it progresses, and you tell me, do you think it's Nicole pushing Chris or Chris pushing first, or just both of them, and it was destined to happen this way? Yes, I love Dr. Grande too. He talks really slow and I talk really fast, so I'm going to play it at 1.25 or 1.5. We'll see.
And talk about what those emails predicted, if anything. So I know many people are familiar with this case, so I'm not going to go through the whole timeline here, just a summary.
Thank you.
August 2018, in Colorado, we see Chris Watts murders his pregnant wife and 2 daughters. At the time he committed these murders, he was having an affair with a woman named Nicole Kessinger. Eventually, Chris Watts confessed to the murders and is currently serving life without the possibility of parole. All the people I'm talking about here in this video are real people, so just a reminder that I'm not diagnosing anyone here, only speculating about what could be happening in a situation like this. I never met any of the people involved in this case. So we see this
And
email
none of us
exchange.
have.
The first email is sent on June 5th, and the important emails are really sent on June 12th. So this is before the affair started. And of course, this took place before the murders took place. I'll put a link to these.
Okay, so he's going to put it up there, and it's really great to see these. If you haven't seen the emails yet, yeah, according to Chris Malibu Surfer says everybody pushing him into things, but watch how it unfolds. This isn't a long video, but it gives you a good idea. And if you haven't seen it, it's just good to have the context of this. I can talk free on your channel, and that's how it's going to be. Even when we have 1,200 people in chat, even the trolls I entertain without getting upset. So I do get passionate though, and sometimes I say dumb things that are taken out of context, and I'm sorry for anybody that I do hurt their feelings when I say stupid stuff that I don't actually even finish talking about. My bad.
These emails in the description for this video. So many believe that this brief email exchange prognosticated the affair and even the murders. And others believe that it offers support for this theory that Chris Watts had antisocial, narcissistic, or borderline personality disorder. So I'll give my thoughts on all these different components of this speculation on the emails. And when I talk about what's written in these emails, it's not necessarily verbatim. So we see the first email on June 5th, and there's really nothing here, in my opinion. Nicole sends an email to Chris and some others about some technology.
Okay, so this was what I wanted to point out, and I absolutely love that. This was a email that she sent to everybody. Now, I work at a company, and I always send emails out, and you put everybody on there, right? And this is what happens. So she throws out this email, and Chris has already seen her by now and probably thought she was cute. He was starting to get buff. He was taking those Thrive patches, which a lot of people say the Thrive patches actually make your heart beat really fast and make you whatever. Who knows? Maybe his libido was off the chain. He was bored of his wife. I don't know. But this is the email that started the doomsday of this whole damn thing. Nicole Kessinger sends this email that says, "Gentlemen, I spoke with the gas monitor vendor regarding your app access. Our account has been reset. Please continue to use the same credentials you were provided upon receiving the unit. Let me know if you continue to have issues or require anything further." Yeah, this is the email that set the whole chain of events. We're going to get to the mom, folks, so hang in there.
They use for their work. This is all on work email for both Nicole and Chris. Chris replies back only to her and essentially says thanks and have a good day. So I don't really find this as particularly unusual. I know there's been some other ideas kind of read into this, like it was odd that he replied only to her when he said thank you, but I don't really see that as out of the ordinary at all. Now on June 12th, of course, these are all in 2018, again, before the murders. We see this email from Nikki to Chris thanking him for being honest with her that morning. So it really just tells us that they had some sort of meaningful conversation. And I think what's odd here is his response. He says he's a straightforward guy and lying just complicates things. So I don't know what he's talking.
Okay, so the conversation they did have, and the if you watch Crime Talk, the blanks that were filled in was him saying that he has a wife. You know, he talked about it, that he's married and he has children. And then Nikki says, "Thank you." Nikki says, Nikki, I'm a straightforward guy. Lying. That's weird that it says Nikki at the top. Nikki's a guy. Maybe she is a guy. I'm a straightforward guy. Lying complicates things. I think you're absolutely stunning. Okay, he's telling Nikki that she's stunning, and this is where it all comes off. Yes, he starts flirting with her. They had a conversation in between that, and he tells her that he's married, but he's telling her, "I absolutely think you're stunning. From what I've learned about you so far, you seem like an amazing person. I hope to get to know you better." So this is where it all kicks off. Chris is definitely not, I don't see the temptress coming in, and you can see this right here. I don't see the temptress coming in and saying, "Come here, you're under my command." Maybe later on.
Talking about when he alludes to this idea that he did not lie. It's not really clear from these emails. It's not even clear what he means by being straightforward. What was he being straightforward about? Kind of a mystery here. But either way, he's putting himself forth as an honest and direct person. And then we get to the really important part of his response. He says that he thinks Nicole is absolutely stunning, and from what he's heard, an amazing person. And he hopes that they get to know each other better because they have a lot in common.
Yes.
So this already seems like it's moving down the road in terms of getting closer, but then it gets much worse. Nicole's response is that she enjoys talking to Chris and that she feels understood. And she's also looking for someone to build a beautiful life with, something similar to what Chris Watts has with his wife. She also says it's best to keep the friendship at work, and she'll keep the conversations between them. So Chris responds to this and agrees. He says there's no need to worry. The conversations will stay secret, and then provides his phone number so she can reach him at work. So even in just this.
All right, you make your mind up, folks. You make your mind up who aggressed who, and they're both equally culpable for the relationship. But I think in these emails, he aggressed her more. She said, let's keep it between us. Maybe she was giving him flirty eyes. I don't know. But he says, yeah, I agree with you. And he gives her his freaking number, his work number, which is his other phone, so he can get a hold, so she can get a hold of him out on the field. Sometimes email can be so tricky with spotty service. I have an early morning meeting and then I'm doing LOTO for a construction crew on various sites all day. I don't see you. If I don't see you tomorrow, I hope you have an amazing day. So this starts off the whole thing, and Chris initiated this essentially. What do you
brief
think?
Exchange, these emails back and forth, again, mostly on the 12th. It seems fairly clear that there's a signal here that an affair is possible. It didn't have to occur, but there are a few key items that stand out here in terms of infidelity. It references some intimate conversation, or possibly conversations, we don't really know. We see that she thanks Chris for being honest, and she says she feels understood. This is a fairly powerful statement from somebody who's single to someone who's married, right? In this type of work environment, this really stood out to me. She makes it clear she's looking for a love interest, again, somebody to build a beautiful life with.
She does.
This is even more powerful. And even if the email stopped right here, I would say this would be enough for me to speculate that something's going on here. This is more than just two people that discovered they had a few things in common. But of course, it doesn't stop.
All right. Well, we know that. It
In
doesn't
some
stop
way
him.
that Chris was going to commit the homicides. I don't see any evidence at all in these emails to support that. Again, I think it's logical to predict an affair from these emails, but I don't see anything related to homicide in any way.
All right. So I just wanted to show you the emails. That was the whole point. Now we're going to watch Chris's mom with how she talks about baby boy Chris. It's very interesting. And it was on Channel 9 News. I'll speed it up. I just want you guys to hear like how it plays out. I don't know if you've ever seen this before. Let me know. I'm going to play a little bit into it. She had no idea, and the way she talks about baby boy, twats, needed glasses and a brain. NK is stunning. Not only did he say he was stunning, that she was stunning, but he also called her amazing, which he didn't even know her. I think he was just completely flirting. Yeah, NK knew that Chris was married, and Chris dropped his number, was telling her his schedule, gave her his work number, which gave her a pass to call him on the other number. Wink, 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 guys. Call me on my other number so my wife doesn't know. I mean, those are all the telltale signs. Cringy mother language. Yeah, but his mom is a lot more interesting than some mothers. I believe that. I think Nicole would have been okay with Shannan. Now, Nicole was looking up. Nicole Kessinger had already had her eye on Chris Watts. She was looking up Shannan like a year before and all that fun stuff. But Chris did aggress her in those emails. You got to agree that she told him, I'm looking for a family. I'm looking for a beautiful life like you have. I want to have kids someday and whatever. And he still moved forward with it and gave him the number and the schedule. So I don't know about, all the things that he tells them, but that he's telling the police, but I mean, he was thinking with one head, and that definitely wasn't the one up here. I have heard a lot of this. I think I've only seen Stephanie Harlow's coverage. This is a great deep dive. Thank you. Watts Wednesday. We try to do it every Wednesday unless breaking news comes up. And in that case, I have to do that. Let's listen to this mom. I don't know how much she sheltered Chris, but I don't know. I'm not going to blame the parents, but I just think they had a weird relationship, and the mom's still in denial.
Had two best friends, and that's who we grew up with, and still are friends with them today. And there's nothing.
All right, keep in mind she's talking about baby boy and how he grew up so sheltered and nice, and he kept his best friends forever, and what a good boy he is. Now imagine Ed Gain's mom. Well, we know what Ed Gain did to his mom, but imagine somebody's parent talk about what a good boy they were after they did some horrendous crimes. And he took her only grandchildren's lives, by the way.
thing that would
Really
have
weird.
predicted any of this could have ever happened.
Yeah.
Nothing in his childhood.
Thank
at
you, JoJo.
all. I would have never in a million years thought something like this could happen to him.
It's not my
At all.
fault.
You
To
didn't see
him.
things like him getting into fights or
No, no fighting. He was quiet, and he got along with people, and he didn't start anything, and he was a perfect teenager, tell you the truth. He did not even rebel. He wanted to go to NASCAR Tech. We made that possible for him.
what did he do after he finished school?
He worked at the dealership as a service technician and was making good money and loved it. He bought a toolbox, and he started buying his tools, and
see, that's what I'm saying. Listen to how she's talking about him. She says, what happened to him? He was a good boy. He saved up his money. He wanted to be in NASCAR. I mean, it's just odd behavior. Sherry, I'm just going to call you Sherry P because I bought your name every time. Sherry P gifted 5 memberships, y'all. If you want to get a gifted membership, all you got to do is interact, hit the like button and say something in the comments. That's how you get gifted membership.
enjoyed it. He was doing well.
When and where did he meet Shannan?
They met, and he liked her. She liked him, but it didn't. I don't think it was love at first sight or anything. They took a little while, and I guess got to know each other, and dated. It was always a little strange that she always said a lot of things about Chris in front of me.
Exactly, I told you.
I didn't like.
See,
like
she's talking about
Shannan. I would date. He doesn't know how to do this, or he doesn't know how to do that. He looks like a skater boy. Look at his hair. Look how much stuff he puts on his hair. It was just on and on and on, and I just got a bad feeling.
And they got married in 2012. Did they get married in North Carolina?
They did. Mm-hmm.
How was that?
Oh, we didn't attend.
Really?
Mm-mm. We didn't attend because Shannan and I just couldn't get along, and I didn't like the way she treated him.
What do you know about their marriage and their issues?
Oh, very little. Very little. You can only observe.
It's funny. I should not keep my phone while I'm watching this. It's Bree Michelow. Did anyone watch the Bree Michelow interview I had on my show? It was one of the most chill interviews ever. I didn't say anything that the lighting was low. I let her talk. Bree Michelow is Corey Michelow's mom, and we had that on my channel, and somebody just said, love you, Jay, but you interrupt your guests too much, which is very interesting because on the Bree Michelow interview, I let her talk most of the time, and what I did was just redirect it so about the conversation that we had the day before, so they wouldn't just go off the rail. That's so funny that I love you too, DM, if you're watching, but I don't interrupt my guests too much. We have an agenda, and if I don't keep them on agenda, actually with Bree, it was funny because if you watch her other interviews, she gets very little time and they completely direct the agenda. That's what you're supposed to do. So whoever said that, DM, whatever your name is, thanks, but I don't interrupt my guest. I have to keep agendas on track. She had almost 2 hours. Very interesting. All right, back to the Watts case. This mom is insane. It's really weird. Thank you all for being here. I hope you get gifted a membership. I love the crime crew, and I even love the people that tell me I interrupt my guests and weird stuff.
I could only observe what I saw when I was around them. Christopher always seemed anxious, and he when she needed something, I mean, he would run.
Good night.
He wouldn't walk. He would run. He would get it. He just always seemed to be right there at her beck and call.
Very.
And did that seem odd to you? Or?
Very odd. It was very odd. He just seemed nervous.
So how much did you see them over these last 6 years?
Probably twice a year. We would go up there.
Did you stay with them? Or?
Yeah, we would stay with them.
Now I'm going to go forward to where he talks about, right now he's just getting her comfortable, but he's going to talk about when Shannan went missing. Because, yeah, she is just being a mom, but she's a mom that her son took the lives of her only grandchildren and Shannan. So I love my kids as well. But I'm telling you, if my son wipes out his whole family, I'm not going to blame it on the wife. I promise.
Called me and said that they're missing. And I thought, I don't believe it. I didn't believe they were missing. I believe that she was going to punish Chris. She was just going to punish him, take the girls and just punish him. I had no idea of anything
Poor
else.
Chris.
Christopher called and said, Mom, they're searching the house. I said, okay, that's fine. I mean, and I still was not worried. I was not worried. I just thought Shannan had run off with girls.
So walk me through the sequence of events over the next few days. Did you and your husband travel to Colorado?
Ronnie did.
Okay.
Ronnie did. And I mean, Christopher let everybody come in. Her phone is there. Her purse is there. Everything is there. But there's no kids and there's no Shannan. And I was not worried. You know, I thought she is.
Oh, she had other grandchildren. Okay. Well, then it was her only grandchildren. Her baby boy, Chris's only children, and he wiped them all out. So thank you for correcting me on that, honey bun. I appreciate that. But there was one on the way and two other ones. And the way she's talking about Christopher is so weird. Where's the compassion for his girls? Exactly. How can you show no emotion knowing that the babies were being removed, the skin? Exactly. One of the first responders retired. Correct me if I'm wrong. I didn't know much about Chris's sister. I didn't deep dive that far into this. Sorry. I've been focusing, honey bun, on Nicole Kessinger and Chris Watts. But yes, one of the first responders had to get out of the business, so to speak, because of the way they found the children. It's so weird. It's so weird how she talks now. Listen, now it's going to start to get into the crime and the way she talks about it.
It's just gone off, and I'm going to punish you for this, and you can worry about me. But
it's Shannan's
when
fault.
Christopher called us, and he said, "I said, do you want us to come down now?" He said, "Tell Dad I need him."
Yeah.
Tell Dad I need him to come down. I said, "What about me?" He said, "No, Mom, just stay. Just send Dad." And he picked him up at the airport, and they drove to the police station. And Chris still didn't say anything to him. Nothing. He had already been interrogated 7 hours prior to that. He had already let the police go into his home, search everything. He was going in for another interrogation. The next thing, after 5 hours, they called Ronnie and said that your son wants to talk to you before he tells us anything. And that's when Christopher broke down and cried and said, "I'm sorry, Dad." He said, "I went into a rage and I killed her after she killed Cece and Bella." And he found out where he is, and then they wouldn't let him see him. He couldn't see him. And so he was going back to the airport when his...
Yeah, I appreciate these chill days like that. We have 213 people in chat. I can actually talk to you guys. James McLean says the facial expressions on her, she's in absolute denial. And I showed a video that where Chris's parents went to visit him in prison, and they're talking about, "Oh, nice jacket you're wearing. How you doing? You look so good." It's the weirdest thing. Yet there's a lot of good comments in chat tonight, and it's nice that I am able to talk to the crime crew. You guys are all dedicated crime crew. You're a crime crew official, Sweetie Brookahire. So thank you all. And listen to this. It's just crazy. Look at her face. Every time I pause it, her face looks, and she victim blames like the whole time.
The public defender called him and told him to come back. And that's when Ronnie met his public defender. And so talked to her for a while, and they kept in touch with us and let us know what's going on.
And then what was the next update that you got?
The next update I got was
it's definitely not sus, Davey. There's nothing sus about this at all. It's nothing sus about it. I just wanted to show a psychopath and a mama's boy. Watts Wednesday. That's completely it. Now you know he's really truly a mama's boy, and he was the whole marriage. Shannan and his mom did not get along, and it came to a point where they weren't able to even be in the same room. Right when that could have been a consideration when he offed Shannan and he choked her and he couldn't stop. It could have been part of it, that she didn't like his mom. They weren't going to be able to see the kids. She was like, "I'm not letting your mom see the kids and they were fighting. He was a mama's boy, so it has a factor of consideration to what happened. CW Chris Watts didn't even want Cindy there. He's like, nah, just oh.
Ronnie called Jamie and told them they found their bodies, and they rushed over here. Nobody told me anything until they walked through the door, and they told me what happened, and I just fell to the floor.
Right.
I just fell to the floor. It was
222, folks.
Unbelievable. And it's been unbelievable ever since. And
what did his attorneys tell you about contact with him? Starting with his
none.
arrest.
No contact. Everything is recorded. No contact. No letter writing. I didn't see the harm in the letters. Hi, son.
Poor thing.
Love you. Keep fighting. We are here to support you. What is wrong with that? What can the DA do about letters like this? Why couldn't we just write him a letter? We did what we were told to do. When they called us to tell us that Chris was thinking of a plea, that he wanted to speak to us about it. And when we got down there, it was a lie. They wouldn't let us talk to him about anything. And then we had to talk to him through a screen and a phone.
It does.
And he just looked, he was crying. I mean,
Okay, so remember, if you don't know what we're talking about the family annihilator of all family annihilators. If you look up family annihilator, you're going to see Chris Watts' face in Google, folks. He just wiped out his whole family, and this lady's still in denial. She's making it sound like something happened to Chris. It's really just weird. Yeah, they went to the funeral. Ridge Rider says it's very interesting, and Davey is right. Parents do sometimes they take, like, look at Jeffrey Dahmer's, they take the blame, like, what did I do? What could I have done better? Maybe she is thinking that way, and I don't know what's going on with her, but it's really freaking weird how she approaches this. Listen, Chris is still the victim in this.
he wasn't crying. You could see the movement in his mouth that when I talked about Bella and I talked about Cece and the memorial service that we had for them. And he asked what pictures did we use? And, what was the song? You can see
5
how he
years
was
ago.
trying to hold back tears.
What day was that? Do you remember?
Well, we flew in on that Monday. We flew in on Monday and we saw him Monday night. And then the plea deal was on Tuesday.
So Monday night was when you wanted to talk to him about it?
Yes. And we weren't allowed. It would have helped us so much to be able to talk to him. I wouldn't have to go through all this now. Everything just seems to be shrouded in secrecy. And just tell us what is going on. And let us ask Chris if it's okay if you talk to us. I just don't like the way it was handled from the very beginning. I don't like the way it was handled. I want to save your life. That's all. We're just here. We're going to save his life. We want him to get life in prison. It was like they already knew he was guilty. And this was the end of it.
Were you worried about the death penalty being a possibility?
No, I didn't care about the death penalty. Nobody's going to die in Colorado. I don't think anyone has. One person? Colorado is changing. So people stay on death row forever.
This lady is insane, y'all. Wow. Hey, she literally created him. We see the devil who spawned the demon. Yeah, we do. Absolutely. This is a weird interview. The interview was done soon afterwards. Yes, it's been 5 years. It was done. She's talking about it. I mean, it was after he went to prison and not long after the funerals, the prison. I think it was after he was convicted. Not long after he was convicted. So let's say 6 months after everything was said and done, folks. Right? Not that long ago. Not that long after.
There was I think he'd be safer on death row. And her parents said they didn't want any more death.
Yep.
So I don't see how the death penalty could have mattered. All I want is the truth. I just want the truth. That's it. And I know Chris, he
Look at that
takes
guy's
responsibility. And I guess maybe he is. I don't know. I just can't see him doing that.
What do you think the truth is about
Who-
how
Yes,
Shannan
listen.
and Bella and Celeste died?
Oh God, I don't know anymore. Honestly, I don't know his frame of mind, and I don't know his frame of mind, because why would you plead guilty to something you didn't do? And that's all I want to know. Why would you plead guilty if you didn't do it? If you told your dad you didn't do it?
Who
And
did
that's
it
what I
then?
want to know. And they said, well, you'll find all that out. Christopher will talk to you when and after he's sentenced. Well, isn't that too late then? And is it too late? What if he tells me, no, I didn't do it? I just took this plea deal because they told me I was going to go to jail anyways.
You see that guy's face? He's like, this lady's a nut. 222 again, folks. It keeps going in and out. Prayers for the Watts family, prayers for the Wallace family, the Soto family, and Maddie. Justice for Maddie. I just got an email. There's a new video out with the entire video from Nancy Grace that I played last night. I'll probably play that video on Saturday and have a reaction with Strategic. Do you think he took the plea deal? I think he took the plea deal. He's a psychopath and a narcissist. I don't think it had anything to do with Nicole Kessinger. It was either you get the death penalty or you take a plea deal. He did want to sweep it under the rug, but it definitely wasn't to save somebody else. I'll tell you that much. He's just as bad as this lady here. That who did it then?
I just want the truth. All of us just want the truth. That's all. But I would like to know what triggered it. Can a normal young man, and he's normal. He was normal.
A normal young man. You know what triggered it is his pee-pee going that way to Nicole Kessinger, and all of the sexting is what triggered it. He wanted her more than anything. He just wanted to have Nicole Kessinger. She was so sexy and hot. I don't think it has a death penalty anymore, if it changed, but I believe that was on the table at the time, and that's why he took that fast. Yeah, the parents didn't want it either. If someone could correct me if I'm wrong, I believe that yeah, he was not normal. I believe that the death penalty at the time was available, and that's the only reason he took the plea deal, not to save anybody.
But he wasn't evaluated when he came into the system. He wasn't normal if he did this.
It must be bewildering.
It's bewildering to me. It is. It is absolutely. How did this
given-
happen? How did this happen? And I go back in my mind thinking, was there something I didn't pick up with on Chris? But I can't think of anything except he was quiet.
It sounds like in your own mind, you're unsure as to what happened.
Yes.
Have you reconciled the idea that he could have done all of this?
Yes. And that scares me to death.
It
did. Scares me to death to think that he could have done all of this. And I don't want to go there. I don't want to go there right now. But I don't see why he's pleading guilty. I wouldn't. I'd fight. I'd fight to the end. But then you ask yourself, would a normal person dispose of the bodies the way he did? And I would have called 911 if it happened like that.
What would you say to Chris right now if he were sitting here?
If we were by ourselves?
Yeah.
I would say, Christopher, I need to know what happened that night. I need to know what happened. I've got to get these thoughts out of my head. What I think could have happened, but I need to know. And I think in time he will tell me.
Probably nothing you ever would have imagined. You would.
It's interesting because he does change his story, folks. He confessed. He's already in jail. He confessed to it. He went to fast track to prison, and he did it because the death penalty was on the table, folks. And he did not want to be on death row. It scared the crap out of him. He's a narcissist, a psychopath. He's living in prison just fine. He found God. That's what he claims. He did the letters with the Cheryl something. I have his book. I have a PDF of it if we ever want to go over it. And he co-wrote a book with a lady, Cheryl in Cadle, and he changed his story now. And the first story he told, and it was only because the police officer wanted him to confess. The first story he told was that he came home and Shannan was smothering the children. So he strangled her, and then he disposed of all of them. That's what the mom's talking about when she says that. No, I wasn't kidding. Some guy that was in prison with Chris Watts, some little gay Twinkie boy, said that he was in a relationship with Chris Watts. So who knows? Who knows what's true about that? Chris says it's not true, but Chris lies about everything. So
Faced.
Never. No, and not from the son that I
Exactly.
raised and Ronnie raised and our children, we just.
It wasn't a surprise though, folks. None of us believed it anyway. We all knew he took out all three of them. He did confess to killing everybody long after he was in prison. Same investigators went back to find out the truth, and then he also wrote a book. He wrote books, the letters of Chris Watts, whatever it's called, with Sherilyn Cadle. And so what really happened is he hasn't actually he hasn't fully said what happened. We still have questions, but we don't know if Nicole Kessinger was there that morning, if he told her anything. But we do know the extent of it is he annihilated his whole family, disposed of them in one in each oil tank that was 8 inches this big around. He shoved his children through there, and I had to push their bones down. The way they came out through the crude oil, he buried Shannan in a shallow grave, left the sheet right out there. We know the gist of the story. Yeah, him telling the truth. What does that even mean? All the little details, maybe implicating Nicole Kessinger. That's the only thing that we'd get out of it. The kids were alive with their mom's body. Yeah, I think so. I think people speculate that maybe one of them he smothered before, or both of them. So there's speculation, but I saw little footsteps that I think walked out to the truck, that he walked them into the truck, drove out to the oil tanks, and did it there. I'm not really quite sure. He changed his story many times. Yeah, that's what I think too. But again, he's changed his story many times, and the mom is just confused.
We just did everything for them. We worked for them. We wanted them to have a good life, good education. And we stressed education. And
It's not
they
a
were
couple
both
years
doing
old.
well. I thought, I knew.
I don't think she's changed her mind on this, Adam. Actually, and I just wanted to show how Chris is a mama's boy. He was a mama's boy the entire marriage. There was a rift between Chris Watts' mom and Shannan because of how much of a mama's boy he was. And I'm not saying she did anything wrong. I'm saying Chris Watts is a mama's boy, and you can tell in this interview. But yeah, the mother, the truth hurts mom. Read the court documents. She's insane to think that her son would take a plea deal about wiping out the whole family if he didn't do it. She said she'd call 911. It didn't happen that way. That's why. I think she's still in denial, folks. And I doubt Chris has still ever told her what happened.
Marriages can be bad, but you can get out of them and go on.
Yeah, thank you.
But I don't know what was
Right
going
there.
through anybody's mind that night. I mean, I feel too much. I mean, I definitely feel everything way too much and have a conscience that I just feel way too much.
What do you want to happen now? What would you hope would happen now?
Well, I want Chris to have his day in court. I mean, I need to know.
Okay, so now
I
we
feel
see.
wonderful if I could talk to him and he could tell me what happened. And then we can all go on. But if he didn't do it, if he did not do this.
Okay, so then maybe he hadn't been prosecuted yet. This is Channel 9 News, and all I can see is it's 5 years ago. So, okay, so August 13th, it talks about her grandchildren and the horror that began unfolding on. So here it is, folks. This is November 18th, 2018. So we can see how many months. August 2018. So August, September, October, November. Wow, she talked really quick. So this was 3 months after he was arrested. And if you look at the sentence hearing, which is right here, it will tell you the timeline. I'll tell you in a minute, but this is November 18, 2018, before he was convicted and took a plea deal and all that. Okay, here we go.
Then I need somebody to defend him. I need someone to defend him if he did
There you
not do
go.
this. Do they have the evidence?
You have
He's my
an
son.
yours.
I got to do everything. I've got to do everything I can to help, to make sure that he is defended properly.
He said different things.
But he said this was his decision, so I don't know. There's doubt. I have doubt that he did. I can't see that he did it.
I can't see it either.
I cannot see him doing that as much as he loved his girls. How do you do that? I
can't imagine.
I just don't see it. I just can't see him doing it. I just wanted to make sure that he has. I just wanted a defense. I wanted him to be defended.
And you haven't had any discussions with his attorneys about this?
No. I asked them, "Do you know what happened?" They said, "No, we don't."
They're not gonna tell you, but he told us
Only
now.
person that knows what happened is Chris. Well, then he's told you his story, in the affidavit. They said they would defend him if he wanted to go forward.
It was a story.
He said he didn't want to go forward.
And the bottom line is you would have likely been part of that discussion with him before he made that decision.
That's what I thought we were going down there for. At least let us talk to him. Let us talk to him.
We have a mama's boy too. Our son is a proud mama's boy, and he has 2 mamas. So nothing wrong with mama's boy, but he's a psychopath and a mama's boy. And this woman caused a lot of rifts. People want to talk about Shannan. They have whole channels on Shannan and how bad she was and how mean she was to him. But this mom caused a lot of rifts. So I am too bear. The poor woman, I'm mama's boy. All of us would be crushed. I don't wish this on anyone, but this is a crazy case, and I think she fed into it a lot. They still do. When they go visit Chris, the way they talk to him is unbelievable.
It would have made all the difference in the world if they would have just let us talk to him. If he was going to do this, what difference does it make who's listening? But he has our love. He has our unconditional love. I will never abandon my son. He did a horrible, horrible, if that comes to pass that he did this, then
I hope your mama's boy, Sue, is not a psychopath. When you're a psychopath and a mama's boy, that brings you to Watts Wednesday, folks. You don't want it. Nothing. Mama's boys are fine as long as you don't cause rifts in the relationship and be in denial about things that they do. When my son does something wrong, I want him to be a man. And so I say, you need to own up to it, son. Check this out. When he grew up, he was dating and he had a girlfriend that he was no longer interested in. These are true stories, I'm telling you. We have a back house and my son lived in the back house for years. When he was a teenager, his sister came along and he'd date a girl, and then he'd 6 months later not be interested in her, and she'd be in the back house waiting for him to come home while he was out with other people or other girls. And I'd say, honey, you need to break up with her. You need to sit her down and break up with her. You can't be, that's called cheating. If you're, you sit your kids down and you tell them the right thing to do. So there's a different your wife, I'm sure, though, than right from wrong. Yeah, that's the difference. But yeah, you got to teach your kids how to be right and wrong and own up to their stuff. And I'm the first one that will own up to my stuff and apologize to somebody, even if I'm not 100% wrong. If I hurt your feelings, I will apologize. And we love mama's boys that are not psychopaths.
And I still love him. He's my son. And I will always love him. And a lot of people don't understand that. And I don't understand that, why they don't.
Well, could you talk a little bit about some things we talked about yesterday? You said, I think your exact words were, he's not the psychopath next door.
He isn't. He's not the sociopath next door. He's not the psychopath. He didn't kill little small animals. He didn't do any of these things. He was a good child.
Good interview for this, right?
I didn't see anything. I didn't see anything that was abnormal about him, except he was socially awkward. He had trouble socializing. But
yes.
So did I when I was younger. I think you learn that as you grow. And I think he felt a little bit more comfortable in his skin. And he just, I don't think he just had the right person at his side. I don't.
If there's any other clips y'all want to watch, we're in at 2 hours, but we're all still here. There's 223 people in chat, and I have multiple things queued up. So if you guys want to watch like the sentencing and watch him be disgraced or anything that you think you want to go back on, you're welcome to watch it together. Everybody seems to be hanging tight on a Wednesday night, and it's I didn't mean to rhyme, but it's Watts Wednesday, folks. So I'm in it.
That relationship was toxic from the very beginning.
What would you say to Shannan's family if you could talk to them?
She's, I don't want to talk
God,
to them.
I'm so sorry this happened.
Are you?
know, for both our families, because we both lost everything.
For your family?
You know, they lost a daughter. We lost our son. We lost our grandchildren. We all lost. Everybody did. And you'll never get it back. And they were precious. They were so, so precious.
They were precious, folks. Okay, that was a great interview. And you know why it was a good interview? Because it definitely tied in with the whole deception detective and a psychopath. Is he a psychopath? Yes, in it to win it, folks. Thank you, Michelle Lalonde, or however you say that, Michelle L. Thank you so much. I appreciate you gifting the membership. That means you guys can't go now. Let's listen to Judge book him. All right, I'm in it. She said she said he did it, and then she said if he did it, haha. Do you believe Chris had darkness surrounding him like black magic? No, I think he was vagina-tized, folks. He was hypnotized by the vagina, and he snapped. And he was always a psychopath. You don't just become a psychopath overnight, folks. He had thoughts, he had ideas, and no, yeah, I do watch those channels, but I don't feed into them too much. And Cindy didn't lose her son. Somebody said that. You're absolutely right. Her son is still alive, and they visit him quite often. So let me there's actually, it's weird that Nicole did a police interview too. Like she did pictures. She literally took pictures so she could have like a press conference and stuff. It's really weird. All right, let's watch Chris Watts let me go to here, and there's a Chris Watts sentence here, and let's make sure this one's the right one. And let's see if I can don't go anywhere, folks. I don't want to hear all that. I just want to hear. Hold on. Chris Watts sentencing. Anyone have a link for me? Chris Watts equals coward. Plain and simple. Yeah, Chris Watts absolutely is. Let me see. Chris Watts sentenced. That's what you guys want to see, right? Not all of the people talking and stuff. All right, so yeah, it didn't take very long for them to do that. Okay, let's do I'm going to do this very quickly. If you guys have anything you want to share, again, we're at 222 as we do this. It's very interesting. All right, download that so it plays faster for you folks. There's so many things in this case that are so crazy, and it's weird that the parents just can't see through it. LOL, Davey, you're laughing. So I wish I knew what you guys were talking about. All right. Let's watch the psychopath. He actually does cry, and we never see him cry. All right. He's crying for himself this time.
Raw drama in court as the cold-hearted killer who murdered his pregnant wife and 2 daughters is sentenced. The father of slain Shannan Watts gave an emotional statement venting his anger and grief.
And I have to be careful with Inside Edition because these guys are like, copyright. So I can't sit there and just play the whole thing if I talk a little bit. Now, her dad, there's a whole 50-minute sentence hearing to this, and I brought this because it's a quick clip. So, yeah, we know he's mad. I'm going to just go a little further and not play the whole
video his daughter Bella recorded.
My daddy is a hero. He helps me grow up strong.
We loved you like a son. We trusted you. Your faithful wife trusted you. Your children adored you.
Here's Jim Murray.
The DA revealed gruesome new details about the murders. As Watts strangled his wife, it would have taken up to...
Yeah, I have to be cognizant of this, and I have said this before, folks. It takes anywhere from 4 to 6 minutes. Sometimes you could do that in 3. Sometimes when you strangle somebody, you can do it in 3 minutes, but it's anywhere from 4 to 6 minutes. So you literally have to like snap into this rage where you're strangling someone and that's all you're focusing on. It's a long time to do something like that. Isn't it crazy that there's more other psychos that shot his 3 sons? Oh yeah, Chad Doerman. I've been covering Chad. I have a playlist with a couple of videos, and it is his trial is coming up, and I will cover that, folks. All right, let's listen to this. Just a few minutes. I want to see him cry for himself.
4 minutes to end her life. Then he smothered his 2 daughters. 4-year-old Bella fought back as her dad was killing her. Even more shocking, just hours after burying his wife and dumping his daughter's bodies in oil tanks, he was back with his co-workers, acting as if nothing had happened.
Shocking details, folks, on Inside Edition. Yes, I can give you a sidebar lesson on vagina-tized right after this. I'll show you the poster child for vagina-tized. Had the magic. That's the only thing that he was hypnotized, folks, and that was NK. There was a lot of things that she told him and did in the text messages and the sexting that I believe that he truly drove him to do that, and then he snapped. Oh wait, let's watch his mom. His mom's got something to say. Chris is like, huh? Let's listen to him crying.
This is something we will never get.
He cried as his mom spoke. Mama's boy. Hence.
Own mother expressed horror at Watts' crimes. A tear rolled down his cheek as she spoke.
This is something we will never get over. We will always mourn the loss of our family. I am still struggling to understand how and why this tragedy occurred.
He kept his head bowed as his mother turned to look at him.
We love you. And we forgive you.
He did not look back at her. 33-year-old Watts was offered an opportunity to speak.
Would you like to make a statement?
No, sir. But his attorney apologized on his behalf.
Although he understands that words are hollow at this point, he is sincerely sorry for all of this.
And
wait, that must be the Watts sister, right? Vagina-tized. You know, we got to have a word for that. I think that might be in the algorithm. Hashtag vagina-tized. That doesn't happen very often that someone gets that much magic, folks, that has that type of magic that will make you wipe out a whole family. I got to say, she wasn't very, Nicole Kessinger wasn't pretty to me at all, but yeah, Chris Watts is sorry he got caught, but I really think all the freaky deaky stuff that she was doing and the threesomes and all this stuff that she wanted to do, these crazy things that are fine to do when you're not married with children, 1 child on the way and 2 other kids. Travis Alexander was also vagina-tized. I agree with you. Jodi Arias, man. I should do that story. I should do that. Yeah. Hashtag vagina-tized. We can have a whole series on hashtag vagina-tized. I could have a playlist called vagina-tized. Have I said that enough for y'all? Because literally Jodi Arias, that blows my mind. And oh my God, have you guys seen the pictures of Travis Alexander? Like, you can just Google it. It's insane. Ugh. Look at this lady. All right, let's watch this guy cry real quick.
When it was time to hear his fate, Watts' legs shook uncontrollably beneath the defense table.
Of course
the court is going to sentence you, sir, to life in the Colorado Department of Corrections with no possibility of parole.
District Attorney Michael Rourke said there will always be unanswered questions about the horrifying crime.
I don't think he will give an honest assessment of why he did what he did, how he did what he did, and I don't think that there is ever going to be a satisfactory answer for anyone.
There's never a all right, hold on. There is actually okay, so there is
Nicole?
Yes. This case is crazy, and then you're still here watching it with me. So thank you. You know who plays really good stuff on our channel? What's the Obsession? I think She must have started her channel. Kelly, I'll have to talk to you sometime on how you became, when you started and how you came up with Watts the obsession, because Kelly handles other things, other cases, but Watts the obsession would make you think that she only handles the Watts case. We want to be vaginatized, evil lady. I didn't know you were like that. I had no idea. So here's some bizarre things about the Chris Watts case, and you guys can tell me what you think about it as well. This person has 3 something million followers.
And their 2 young daughters in August 2018. Since then, the story has garnered international attention. These are the most bizarre things about the chilling case. While to the outside world, Chris and Shannan Watts appeared to have a perfect marriage, their relationship suddenly changed in the weeks leading up to the murders, and Shannan had grown suspicious of her husband. According to documents released by the Weld County District Attorney's Office, on August 7th, 2018, Shannan texted one of her friends, "Chris told me last night he's scared to death about this 3rd baby, and he's happy with just Bella and Celeste, and doesn't want another baby. He has changed. I don't know who he is." It would seem that Chris's behavior towards Shannan became noticeably different, as she also told her friend via text, "I told him last night I don't feel safe with him after what he said about the baby." Tragically, less than a week later.
And yes, this is what blew up the case, folks, is oops, we did it again. That whole oops, we did it again on Facebook. And Facebook was at the height of its time. Now it's like just a bunch of us old people on there. She wasn't hot. Planting nasty seeds was truly Lori. Yeah, I agree. And that's why people agree and disagree about the case, because we just saw the emails where actually Chris Watts gave her his number and his freaking schedule. So I'm like, did Nicole Kessinger start it? She should have said no, but she didn't. Yeah, not the mama. I couldn't have said that better there. In the butt. All right, let's listen a little bit about this if you don't know about this case.
Shannan's sense was absolutely correct. Chris did the unthinkable to his family and attempted to cover up the crime by disposing of the bodies at a remote oil field location owned by his employer. During an interview on 2020, Shannan's mother said that she was aware of the change in her son-in-law. Per ABC News, her daughter had told her that the transformation happened over the course of a few weeks, maybe a month. Prior to this personality change, Chris was reportedly a model husband, as Shannan's mom revealed.
He never raised his hand, voice, never cursed at her.
Sadly, no one could know that Chris' transformation would turn deadly. While Googling romance advice isn't necessarily bizarre, the fact that Chris Watts was searching for dating tips while married to Shannan Watts is troubling. While Chris reportedly met...
It's interesting because Nicole Kessinger was also Googling tips on dating. 24 karat gold V she must have had. I don't know how you have 24 karat V. Should I even say that? That's so weird. Vaginatized. How did that happen? What about the vag? Yeah, remember this song? What about... Oh, thank you, Jojo, for gifting another membership. I hope you guys get a membership and then you guys are just having a good time on the members only when we do them. I wanted to pick something lighthearted, but we're doing LISK, and we're going to be talking about, they like to be called sex workers, I believe, right? Is that correct? No prosties. We're not allowed to call them prosties anymore. If we're going to call them prosties, we got to be nice. They want to be called sex workers, okay? Or prosties. Be nice.
At Nicole Kessinger, the coworker he would begin an affair with in June 2018, the romance seemed to have escalated quickly by the following month. According to People, prosecutors in the case revealed that on July 25th, Chris had Googled when to say I love you for the first time in a new relationship. Chris Googled this phrase less than 3 weeks before he murdered his wife, 2 daughters, and unborn son. Obviously, with a Google search like this, it appears that the married man was moving quickly with Kessinger and was ready to take their relationship to the next level. As noted by People, prosecutors have cited Watts' desire for a fresh start with his mistress, coworker Nicole Kessinger, 30, as his motive in the killings. While Chris Watts and his mistress, Nicole Kessinger, reportedly met in June 2018 at work,
Yeah, remember, and this is just talking about the case and the weird, odd things that happen. It's going to be really, it's like 18 or 12 minutes or something like that. Okay, we want to be called escorts. Are we going to call the LISK people escorts? I've known a few of them. I've had friends that are actually like OnlyFans models, and then they do sex work, and they prefer to be called sex workers. So I'm not opposed to having prosties, escort friends, sex worker friends, whatever you want to be called. I'm open-minded about all this. I just say don't, yeah, we can call them hoes if they want to be called hoes. I just say don't take your wife and family out. Yeah, his wife was much prettier, but not even about the wife being prettier. He had a whole damn family. 24K. I'm going to throw in the V. Magic is in the air, folks. Magic stick tips. What? All right. I don't know what we're talking about, but you know, Watts Wednesday always gets a little bit crazy, even though it's a harsh topic. We still just don't know her Nicole Kessinger's level of involvement, but we are going to hear some weird things and wedding dress shopping, and she wanted her own family. And when do you say I love you? Like, who asks Google that? Hey, Alexa, when do I say I love you? Why would you do that?
It wasn't long before Kessinger was also turning to Google for romance advice. In her only interview following Chris' arrest, Kessinger told the Denver Post, "We had just met. I barely knew him." However, court documents told a different story. As People reported, Kessinger spent over 2 hours searching Google for wedding dresses just 9 days before Chris killed his wife and 2 daughters. Of course, searching for wedding dresses isn't a crime by any means, but Kessinger's search history suggested that she was incredibly serious about her relationship with Chris and was already thinking about a future with.
She is very not pretty, folks. What is it? They didn't have filters back then? That's an ugly lady. I don't even know if she's a lady, but that's an ugly chick.
The man she'd allegedly only been dating for approximately 6 weeks. It's also alleged that Kessinger believed that Chris was single when they started dating. As reported by the Denver Post, Watts said he was separated and at the end of divorce proceedings, Kessinger said. However, Kessinger's search history told a slightly different story. Per People, on July 24th, Kessinger Google searched the phrase, "Man I'm having affair with says he will leave his wife." Her search suggested that she may have known that Chris was yet to split from Shannan and was hoping that he would leave his spouse to be with her. In the digital age, it's difficult to conceal information, but Chris Watts found an unusual way to store content he received from his mistress, Nicole Kessinger.
All right, now we're going to talk about the calculator app, folks. And Cynthia, I've been doing Watts Wednesdays for quite a while. I have a playlist. I should call it Watts Wednesday, but I think it's under Family Annihilators, and I also have Chris Watts. The only time I don't do it is when there's breaking news, and I have to do the breaking news. So we all are going to have a vagina-tized. We're going to have to have a vagina-tized, what do you call that? Folder. If I call it that, are you going to know what I'm talking about? And yes, his wife, Chris Watts' wife, was very feminine, and this geologist chick was very ugly, and she was a tomboy, and I think he liked that about her, going to the car races and doing the what was that, sand dune, sandboarding or whatever. Yeah, check it out. Watts Wednesdays.
Discovery documents released by the Weld County District Attorney's Office, Watts had a secret calculator application uploaded to his personal phone. This application, by all appearances, is an operable calculator. When the user enters a secret passcode, the application reveals its true purpose, a concealed storage device for photographs, videos, contacts, even a private browser. Investigators discovered a plethora of hidden photos and messages in the app on Chris's phone, and they noted in the discovery documents, "I'm certain Watts communicated far more with Kessinger than is reflected in his phone data, perhaps facilitated through the secret calculator application. It became apparent he was receiving assorted images of Kessinger."
He's an idiot, and that's a dumb app. After you learn about the app, there's so many more of those apps that you can hide things, but just don't do it. It's funny that when that came out, everybody started talking about the secret. It's not a secret anymore, but they started talking about the secret calculator app. So what's up, Tiff Knox? How you doing? Yeah, we're just having interesting night talking about vagina-tized hashtag, and maybe making a playlist with people like Travis Alexander that got hashtag vagina-tized by Jodi Arias. Also, this guy, Chris Watts, took out his whole family for Nicole Kessinger. Now, I say she's ugly only because I know that she broke up this marriage and she kept doing it up until the time Chris snapped. Otherwise, I don't care about what she looks like. I don't think anything's wrong with her. I get laid less after I figured I didn't have to look like they did, act like a tomboy. You're right. Guys want you to watch games with them and go to car shows and hang out. They do like that. Adam says, I say NK is ugly. She was definitely working some sex magic on him, though. Personally, wouldn't have been on into Shannan. What is your type, Adam? Are you like the ladies that are fishing?
Which he then stashed in that application to prevent Shannan from ever seeing them. Basically, it would appear that Chris was living a double life before he murdered his wife and children. When Shannan Watts was killed on August 13th, 2018, she'd just returned from a business trip in the early hours of the morning. Chris Watts had spent the weekend with their daughters, Celeste and Bella, and according to him, they'd had a rather normal time together at home. According to documents released by the Weld County District Attorney's Office, on Sunday, August 12th, 2018, he took his girls to a birthday party. There was a mini pool at the birthday party, and his girls had an epic time. They drove back home after the party, and he gave his girls a shower and put them to bed. Chris also revealed to investigators that earlier in the morning, after watching some television, he took the girls to Target to shop for a birthday gift, and when they got home from running the errand, they ate leftover pizza for lunch. By all accounts, Chris had spent a pretty regular weekend with his two daughters, and there seemed to be no indication of his deviant plan just hours later. In hindsight, Chris's calm behavior during these events was extremely chilling. While Chris Watts initially denied murdering his pregnant wife and their children, it later came out that he'd revealed to a coworker his...
Yeah, folks, the oil tanks are a big deal, and yeah, the babies are beautiful. I don't know how you can do any of that. I think, I mean, it doesn't matter what we think now. Shannan didn't get a chance to grow. If she would have if they would have got a divorce for being overbearing, maybe she would have learned her lessons, and in her next marriage or her next dating half of her life would have been better and not so overbearing. So yeah, get a divorce. Like, if you're alive, you can grow and you can learn stuff. And where did someone say LLC? Happy Pride Month to you. I keep forgetting it's June.
Plans to visit the remote oil field in Frederick, Colorado, where his family's bodies would later be found. According to the official case documents, on Sunday, August 12th, 2018, at around 5 p.m., Chris texted a coworker in reference to the oil field and wrote, "I'm going to go straight out there from my house in the morning." When the coworker responded that they had also been planning to visit the site, Chris joked, "I can go out there though. No sense in both of us going out there, LOL." By telling a coworker that he'd be visiting the site early on that Monday morning to complete some checks, many people believed that Chris may have premeditated his actions on that fateful August day. After Chris Watts pleaded guilty to first-degree murder in November 2018, his parents gave an interview to ABC 11 defending their son. Chris's mother, Cindy...
That's interesting. So she'd been doing that before. I'm sure there's other videos of Cindy. It's weird that they blocked her face out. Now they're all over. And Adam, who doesn't like a strong, independent woman that's passion-driven? Huh? James, I'm sure you do. Everybody does, right? And then you do until you don't, and then it's called bossing around. I didn't see their tax return, so we don't know what they earned. We don't know what they earned, and I think 90% of, and I'm just throwing this out there, but almost everybody in America, I can't speak for other countries, are in debt. You're in debt if you own a house. You're in debt if you own cars. You're in debt if you own anything, unless you just have a ton of cash, like stacks of cash to pay for stuff. Yeah, Sarah Flynn says it's unfathomable to get a divorce, almost like he didn't want a divorce to be public and put on Facebook so he didn't look like the bad guy. And that's why we're calling Chris Watts tonight psychopath and a mama's boy. Look at that. Mom's hiding. Interesting.
Watts said of her son's marriage to Shannan Watts, "It was a very hard relationship. It was a very hard relationship with Shannan as far as I'm concerned. I couldn't do anything right." Chris's parents also suggested that it was his marriage to Shannan that changed him. His mom said, "He was in sports from when he was 5 until 17 years old. There's not one person you can talk to that will say anything about this kid. He was normal. He didn't have a temper. He was just easygoing like his dad. He's not a monster." Meanwhile, Chris's dad, Ronnie Watts, also defended his son to ABC 11 and explained, "It's hard for me to believe that he would hurt them girls no matter what. The story he told me that night, I believed it. The way he looked at me, the way he was crying, I believed it."
If he did it all, I can live with it. If he didn't, I want him to fight for it.
Ronnie is referring to the initial story that Chris gave to the police, claiming that he only killed Shannan after discovering that she'd murdered their two daughters. However, this was...
All right, so that was the initial story, everybody. If you don't know, now you know. Biggie. If you don't know, now you know. Yeah, they were babies. Everybody has debt. If you own a house and cars and things and have kids, or they go to private school, you're in debt. Adam, I know you'd feel me on that, Jay. Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah, this is, I never saw that interview with the parents' faces blurred out. That's interesting. And of course his parents defend him. And yes, she was pretty. Overbearing, that's another story. You want an independent woman, you got to have some overbearingness. I don't know.
As, of course, later revealed to be untrue. From prison, Chris Watts reportedly corresponded with author Sherilyn Cadle.
Okay, Sherilyn Cadle, that's the book that got written with Chris Watts by him writing her letters from jail. I wanted to show this video before, but it's on Dr. Oz, and I know I'll get docked, whatever you want to call that. Carly always corrects me. All right, we're gonna finish up. We're gonna watch this and then we'll finish up. There's everybody's still on here. Some people are saying good night. It's only 6:47 here.
In a series of letters, phone calls, and meetings, the details of which she subsequently published in the 2019 book Letters from Christopher, The Tragic Confessions of the Watts Family Murders. Speaking with the Daily Mail, Cadle claimed that Chris had told her, "If I had not met Nikki, I would never have killed my family. All I could feel was now I was free to be with Nikki. Feelings of my love for her was overcoming me. I felt no remorse." According to the author, Chris also revealed, "The darkness inside of me had won. It was still in me though. I thought maybe permanently. I felt evil, swallowed up by this thing inside of me. I felt like I could kill anything and be justified for doing it." Of Chris's mistress, Cadle said, "Christopher says he loved her like he has never loved anyone else before."
That's why I got so emotional right there.
Police investigating the Chris Watts murders discovered that he had looked up the lyrics to the Metallica song Battery per the Weld County District Attorney's Office's discovery documents shortly after he committed the horrific act. One of the reasons then that some people speculated that Chris missed
Happy Pride Month, LLC. I'm not gay either, but thank you. Just kidding. But happy Pride Month. It's good to see the love and support in the chat. All of you guys are amazing. And I know I'm just playing with you. It's almost 10. I don't even stay up till 10 most of the time. James says when you only get out of debt when you worked for 40 years. There you go. I haven't worked for 40 years yet. So I don't know. And you're right, Barbie, Savage Barbie. If you're alive, you're in debt. Adam might have something different to say since he's a van life guy. He might not have any debt. If you're driving around in a van and you're living off the land and fishing and you don't have that many bills, maybe you're not in debt. You should tell us, Adam. He says to Vanessa, "I'm not sure if he snapped or not. Someone that does what he did has some serious unchecked issues. If he had a hard time dealing with guilt and shame, maybe." NK threatened to expose. No, I think NK gave him a hard deadline and told him if he didn't tell his wife that she was going to be out, and he snapped. I really, truly do. I've talked about this on other Watts Wednesdays. I've had debt for 30 years. I was a perfect consumer, stuff you don't need. America, folks, America.
Mistress, Nicole Kessinger, might have allegedly been involved in the murders was that she'd sent him a text soon after the killings had taken place. As author Sherilyn Cadle wrote in her book, Letters from Christopher, The Tragic Confessions of the Watts Family Murders, after Christopher killed his family and drove away, Nikki texted him to look up the song by Metallica band called Battery. "I challenge you to look up the full lyrics of this song. I find it interesting that we should believe it's only a coincidence." A few specific lines that are troubling include, "Smashing through the boundaries, lunacy has found me, cannot stop the battery, pounding out aggression, turns into obsession, cannot kill the battery, cannot kill the family, battery is found in me." On August 15th, 2018, less than a week after his wife and daughters disappeared, Chris Watts failed a polygraph test. Tammy Lee, an investigator in the case, conducted the test, and as reported by the Tab, Chris Watts didn't just fail his polygraph test, he scored shockingly low.
"There's a reason you feel sick to your stomach. When people hold stuff inside, it makes you physically ill."
After failing the test, Chris confessed to a version of the truth, which included him alleging that he'd only murdered.
Yeah, that lady did a fantastic job. And I just heard her name, and good night, MLE. 2 weeks before, Watts wrote a note saying, "If anything happens to me, look at my wife." What's up with that? What's up with a body on the couch? He put a body on the couch and covered it up with a sheet and then sent it to Shannan. I think he said the kids did it. Really weird, folks. Like, good night, Brenda Liberty. She is a boss. Whoever we're talking about, we like boss bees. Boss B, hashtag vaginatized.
Murdered his wife, Shannan Watts, after she supposedly smothered their two daughters. According to iNews, he claimed that she had killed their two girls in response to his request for a divorce, and said he had killed her in anger after she did this. However, he later confessed to strangling his wife during a confrontation over the revelations of his affair. Presumably to save face after failing the polygraph test, Chris concocted a story about what happened to his family, which painted him as somewhat of a victim in the proceedings. However, it was later revealed that Chris killed.
Now, I do agree with I saw many docuseries. I've seen almost every angle from every perspective on every channel possible, Alazita, and the docuseries, how Thrive changed Chris for the worse, obsessed with working out and diet. Yes. And many times you can be a psychologist or not. When you lose weight, when you're in a relationship for a long time, you lose weight, you start feeling good, you have this extra energy and you have, pent up, you got this sexual, you want to have that with your partner, but other women are looking at you, and all the combination of things I think happened. Chris was already a psychopath and a mama's boy before that. and he blamed everything on everyone else. That's all I have to say about Chris. He did that, and I think Nicole gave him a deadline to, no pun intended, she gave him a deadline and was giving him ultimatums. Folks, we've gone over a lot of the interviews, and the things that she says, Nicole Kessinger gives us an idea that she was telling Chris, leave this woman by this time or I'm out of here.
Killed Shannan first and didn't murder their daughters, Celeste and Bella, until he'd driven to the oil site where their bodies were found. While Watts' mistress has maintained that she believed he was separated from his wife when they met, police discovered a strange piece of information on Kessinger's mobile phone. According to the discovery documents compiled by investigators, data from Kessinger's phone showed that she Googled Shannan Watts' name on September 1st, 2017, almost a full year before she started an affair with Chris. In an interview with Crime Online, Weld County District Attorney Michael Rourke said, "The date to which you are referring in 2017, where it appears she Googled or otherwise searched Shannan, was data that came off her phone. Nicole Kessinger told us that she met and started their relationship with the defendant in 2018. So where that anomaly in the data comes from, I don't know the answer to it. Indeed, the fact that Kessinger reportedly Googled Chris' wife's name in September 2017 seemingly contradicts her own version of events. As the Denver Post, with whom Kessinger gave her only press interview, later reported, one day in the middle of June 2018, he walked into her office to introduce himself. Per Kessinger's account to the outlet, Watts told
Yeah, it's weird because we do know now that she was looking him up before, and then she sent out the email. It was the email bait. The email wasn't really that good a bait. She was so good. Denial too heavy for her. Now, I don't know what we're talking about now. Just now, jumping on your channel, and I see you started live 2 hours ago. We'll watch replay. Fastest playback speed I can handle and understand. Yes, we are over here talking about the Watts case and getting ready to wrap up soon. But when we do Watts Wednesday, it's always lighthearted, even though it's a family annihilation. It happened a long time ago. We have a finality to it, and we hear all different sides in chat.
Told her that he had 2 daughters, and after Kessinger asked, Watts said he was separated and at the end of divorce proceedings. She said,
This shocked me just as much as I think it shocked the rest of the world.
as well as Googling wedding dresses and the name of Chris Watts' wife, Kessinger also searched online for Amber Fry, the infamous mistress in another high-profile murder case. Fry dated Scott Peterson, who was married. Fry believed that Peterson was single when she met him. Lacey Peterson was 8 months pregnant when she disappeared on Christmas Eve in 2002, and it wasn't until April 2003 that the bodies of Lacey and her unborn child were found. Per the Chris Watts case's discovery documents, Kessinger searched the internet on topics related to Amber Fry. Her searches included Fry's book deal, her net worth, and did people hate Amber Fry. These
people didn't hate Amber Fry because she came out, and I believe she helped solidify the case to lock Peterson up. I forgot about him, Chris Watts, giving Shannan 80 milligrams of oxycodone too. That must have made her sick as a dog. I wonder what happened, and I totally forgot about that. There's so many facets to this case. I wish she would have stayed with her friend. Yeah, I do too, but I think it would have happened anyway. So I don't see response chat. Were they put in tanks of oil? Yes, K.A. Pisces, you don't know this case? You know the Wade Wilson case and not the Watts case? He put his little girls in oil tanks, and there was 8-inch hatches that he shoved them through. The first responders pulled them out, and the oil was hot, so the skin was sloughing off in the oil. And one of the first responders had to quit from that field after seeing a lot of people. It ruined their lives to this day, having to see the children like that. No, I thought it was oil. I just want to make sure. Yeah, it was oil tanks. Did Thrive affect his hairline? Nope, he had that hairline already.
searches reportedly took place on August 18, 2018, 3 days after Chris confessed to murdering his family. Presumably, Kessinger may have been concerned about what the public perception would be once it was revealed that she was the mistress of a convicted murderer. However, the fact that she Googled Fry's net worth and book deal might also suggest that she may have been hoping to capitalize on her situation. Of course, this is all speculation, and it should be noted that Kessinger voluntarily spoke with police on August 15th, the same day that Chris was arrested. As Kessinger later told the Denver Post, I just wanted to help. With a pregnant woman and 2 children missing, I was going to do anything that I could. On February 18, 2019, Chris Watts sat down for a 5-hour interview with the Frederick Police Department.
They were passed, but he desecrated their bodies where they weren't able to have a proper funeral. And it's just horrific to push your kids through an 8-inch hatch when they don't even fit through there. So yeah, and not the mama. Just look at what she says in chat.
Colorado Bureau of Investigation and the FBI, the audio of which was released to the public. Chris made a number of telling revelations during the interview, and he spoke about his former mistress, Nicole. As reported by Oxygen, Chris said, "I'm not sure what you, Nicole, went through afterward. If you had like counseling, if you're in a different state, if you had to leave everything behind." When the investigators asked Chris if he was hoping to speak to Kessinger one day, he replied, "Maybe once, just to say, I'm sorry this all happened." However, Chris's attorney reportedly attempted to contact Kessinger on his behalf, but she refused. During the same interview, Chris also emotionally suggested that if he hadn't begun an affair, he might not have become dissatisfied with his marriage to Shannan Watts. "If I never met Kessinger..."
Yeah, I think he truly is a psychopath and was a mama's boy that was really sheltered. He didn't date a lot. Had he made these mistakes in high school, I don't know if we'd have been there today. We've been here today. Maybe he would have had a girlfriend, cheated, broke up, not have taken their lives. I don't know what happened, but he did say that he couldn't get out of it. Once he had it on his mind that what he wanted to do, he did it. And he couldn't stop thinking about it. Thrive's a nutritional supplement, which are not well regulated. Yeah, you're right. They're not. There's no way in hell that she would give those girls their protein bars, and she did. Yeah, a lot of people were on that path, and she says she can't make up for it now, right? No drama and love the crew. What's up, DZ? Maybe once, if she's still hooked, and again, you never know. Yeah, nothing justifies, and you can't fix your mistakes once you're not alive, right? Yeah, I forgot about that too. I heard Chris say, "Daddy, no." He did say that as she pushed her into the vat. No, he said, "Daddy, no," while she was smothering. He was putting her blanket over her head and smothering his daughter, and she said, "Daddy, no." I don't think it was while he pushed her into the oil tank. One of the children was alive when I don't know. I didn't hear about that. If someone, well, I can ask Watts the obsession when we talk. She knows everything about this case.
Kessinger. Would I have ever thought our relationship was bad? Probably not. I never thought I would have strayed away from Shannan. Many people have watched the Netflix documentary American Murder, The Family Next Door, which pieces together all the events leading up to the crimes. And it would seem that one eagle-eyed viewer of the documentary believed they'd spotted something strange in the background of one video clip. According to the Daily Mail, footage from a police officer's body camera has been getting attention because it appears to show a little girl playing inside the Watts home after Chris' wife and daughters were reported missing. As reported by the site, Arthur Kant took to YouTube to suggest that he'd spotted a ghost in the body cam footage and asked viewers to consider whether it was an apparition of one of Chris' murdered daughters. However, other viewers reportedly suggested that, rather than a ghost, the young girl was simply the daughter of Shannan's friend, Nicole Atkinson, who alerted police when Shannan missed a doctor's appointment and failed to reply to any text messages or phone calls that morning. Atkinson.
Thank God for her best friend, right? That's crazy. If it wasn't for her best friend, yeah, she was on to law enforcement was on to him right away as well. But the friend was just on it, and they were like, yeah, I don't think so. I don't think so at all. I've never heard that story. That's why I'm going to say that. All right, let's wrap this up, folks. There's 207 people in chat. Hit the like button as you're leaving. Don't forget.
Joined police in the house in the search for Shannan, and it seemed likely that her children could have been present too. However, as the Daily Mail reported, despite the logical explanation, a few people insisted that the home is haunted.
All right, folks. If you want case suggestions, please send me an email about this. There's so much more that we can get into, and it's always great to save it for Watts Wednesdays, which are chill. There's no political things. There's no drama. And we try not to do that on any of the cases, right? But sometimes it happens, and it just happens. Atkinson was in take Shannan to her doctor's appointment that day, and she didn't show up. So if you have case suggestions, email guiltyofcrimebyj@gmail.com, or you can hit up my page and just put some comments in there. Don't forget to hit the like button on the way out so we can get in the algorithm, get better interviews, and do a lot more. Thank you, mods and crime crew. You rock. Wolfpack, you rock. We were just talking about you today. All good things, and what a great mod that we've seen you to be. So thank you for being here. We appreciate you, and we'll probably be in touch really soon. Sweetie Brooke higher. Thank you. Love the show. Thank you. Thank all of you. I love you all, and have a wonderful night. Thank you for being here for so long and just listening to me talk about the Watts case and go on about whatever else I talk about. And if I could find my outro, I would hit it. Have a good night, y'all.
Guilty of crime. I want to thank you for watching. If you enjoyed my content, please share this video, like, and subscribe. You can also follow me over at Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, X, or Gmail. If you'd like to donate to my channel, you can use Cash App or Venmo or PayPal. Thank you very much in advance. Guilty of crime. Are you guilty of crime?